What's going on, friends? It's Anton Daniels, and I gotta have a conversation with you guys about Tiege Hanley because you see how the sun is hitting me. This is no finesse, no makeup, no filters, no none of that. This is 100% Tiege Hanley. I use it in the morning as soon as I get up, right after I pray and brush my teeth, jump in the shower, and I'm hitting the streets because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So even though they're giving you 40% off your first order, 20% off for life, even though you may get a free gift, forget all that, right? Because we would do this even if it was full price because it's worth that much. I'm in the streets, I'm kicking it with people, and I see Dusties everywhere. You don't want to be them. You want to separate yourself. And the way that you separate yourself is self-care. Ladies get it for the fellas. Fellas don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. I'm about to hit the streets right now, and I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling great. I mean, I already got confidence, but to have that extra boost of confidence, knowing that you've taken care of yourself and you set yourself apart from all of the rest of the sheep that's walking around making bad decisions on a daily basis. And it's reflected in their actions. It's reflected in the products that they use. It's reflected in the people that they follow. And so if you're trying to level up, if you're trying to make sure that you look good, they're going to send you the pack. They're going to give you all of the instructions on how you're supposed to use it. Then make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. Again, 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Get your free gift. Make sure you tap in with your boy Anton Daniels because Unc is never going to lead you wrong. I would never have you use a product that I don't use myself. Again, they've been rocking with me for a long time. Make sure you get your Tiege Hanley. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. What's going on? Is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of the Millionaire Morning Show. I am your host, Anton Daniels. What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? It is Tuesday, March 4th, 2025, year of our Lord. I'm excited to be before you today. I got a full show that's here, but I was having a little bit of a meltdown earlier this morning. I wouldn't even say it was a meltdown. It's probably an extreme description of what it is, but I was having a little bit of a moment because on my way into the studio this morning, I got a text message, and I get a lot of text messages. If I had to guess, the amount of text messages and phone calls that I get throughout the day is probably somewhere between 80 and 100. I know that that's hard for some people to believe because maybe they don't have that many people that is actually tapping into them or employees and all of that stuff. But that's just the name of the game. And I'm never going to complain because I live a phenomenal life and I would never want my life to be any different than it is right now. And we are working and we growing and we continuing to evolve. And so I'm going to have to put things and systems in place that allow for me to continue to be focused. However, I had a little bit of a moment, a little bit of a meltdown, and I had that conversation. I actually posted that video on the Anton Daniels channel. So if you're not subscribed to all of the platforms, including After Hours tonight, you probably should do that. However, I was just thinking to myself, like, man, when is it going to be? Like, when are people going to love me the way that I love them? That's some stuff to say right there when you say something like, when is people going to love me the way that I love them? Because, there's always going to be a need, to put it lightly. Like, there's always going to be people that need, that can't get right, always in dire straits. And you try to balance it by saying, well, I don't want to be an enabler, so I got to let them pull themselves up. But then at the same time, I'm not going to let them suffer to the point to where they not able to get themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it's a hard balance. And I think that when you are the patriarch, is that the thing to say? The head of the family, the one that's eventually grown to be at the forefront of the family, the person that everybody turns to when they need advice, when things get dire. Because let's be clear, like, my family and I, and not just my family, friends, people that's all around, I've gotten to the age and a point in my life where I'm kind of looked at as like a mentor, a de facto mentor. And then also on top of that, I'm kind of like the head of the family, and that we may have disagreements. We may look at things different politically. We may not always see things eye to eye, But when somebody get in trouble, when somebody go to jail, when something happens or whatever, you gonna get that phone call. And I've kind of created a buffer a little bit between me and life by having an assistant, by having Rita, by having a lot of different things going on. And so usually it comes through her, but there's certain people that, you know, they gonna have your phone number. And I'm not talking about family. Family is different, but people that you grew up with or certain things, they have your phone number or whatever, and they gonna hit you up. Oh man, and it just becomes in a sense sometimes, you know, it becomes a drain a little bit because people call you on a regular basis and they always, you know, usually people don't call you unless they need something. Most of the time, 99% of the time, people don't call you just to check on you and say, hey fam, how you doing? How's everything going? Hey, you need anything from me? I don't remember the last time that somebody hit me up that was not already close to me. Like somebody that's dependent on me. My daughter check on me, people check on me. But I don't remember the last time somebody that is a not an immediate family member, not person that's in a household with you or something like that, has hit me up and said, hey, how you doing, man? Hey, what can I do for you? How can I pour into you or something like that? I never get that. I never get that. And I think that sometimes it is a little bit draining. You know what I'm saying? Because you can start to feel misused. I know, for example, that, and we're going to get into the show after this. I'm going to read Super Chats, Cash Apps, all of that. I know, for example, that people finesse me. Let me see what this video is. More drama, more stuff, more everything, blah, 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 blah. Email address, music, Madison Rose. With my best friend. Aw. Give me a second. You know what's so funny? Y'all gotta stop. Millionaire Derailment Show moment. Y'all gotta stop putting stuff on the internet, and then when people start talking about it, you start sending emails and panicking because you want it to be taken down because you messed up and you jumped on Instagram or you jumped on TikTok or you jumped on YouTube and you start saying stuff you wasn't supposed to say. You said something negative against your employer. You jumped off the rails and you went off the deep end and you start putting up the middle finger or whatever. You start talking about the government agency or you start talking about your job, your boss at work or whatever. You can't put that information out there into the sphere and then start begging when somebody send it to me to react to. I do a reaction video to it. You made it public. I did a reaction video to it. And now, because we don't agree with you, now you panic and saying, oh my God, you can't take it. No. Maybe I'm just in my villain era right now. Being misused, because I know that there's a lot of people that finesse me, and I get it. And I'm one of those type of people that I have a long leash and I allow for myself to be misused for the sake of not having you crashing out here in the streets. Meaning that there's some people that really need, and then there's some people that's finessing me. And when people reach out to me a lot of times for money or to take care of stuff or whatever, there is a possibility that I'm getting finessed. However, 99% of the time, and that don't mean that you should reach out to me either, because I'm gonna tell you no. 99% of the time, I'm usually like, you know what, I gotta send it to him because what if it's really real, whatever. And I'm one of those type of people. So I will err on the side of making sure that you get what you need and just leaving it up to God of whether or not I'm actually getting finessed and saying, God, you see my heart. I'm sending this. Blessed to be to the right person for the right reasons or whatever like that, right? So maybe it's a little bit of frustration of knowing that I'm getting finesse on some of these things that I'm doing for people that don't necessarily have my best interests at heart just to take advantage of me, combined with the fact that people are running in the Victim Olympics for information and content that they putting out there. And then they want to act like they're a content creator, but then don't agree with the fact that you don't agree with them. And so then they want to remove their video and then ask you to remove it too. No. Answer is no. Answer is no. The answer is no. It be men and women, Trey. It be men and women asking. Real talk, man. Like, listen, if you don't want it out there, don't make it available for the general public to see. Don't tell your story. Don't do story times. Stop talking about your husband, how you got divorced from him. Stop talking about the man that left you on the side of the street. Stop talking about the woman that finessed you. Stop recording yourself over in the Dominican Republic, getting boxed, knowing that you got a wife at home. Stop doing dumb stuff on the internet, and the internet not going to do dumb stuff to you. It's as simple as that. Put the phone down. Put the phone down. You know what I'm saying? Put the phone down. Because I'm not removing nothing else. That's it. I'm not removing nothing else. Nope. You put it out there, it's going to be on the internet forever. That's just the end of it. Anyways, I'm just saying, enough is enough, bro. We're not going to continue to do this. We're not doing this no more in 2025. I've allowed enough grace already. We're not doing this in 2025. Shout out to my dog, Spencer Campbell. I appreciate you. Says, good morning, AD. We love you and appreciate you for your hard work. I appreciate you too, Spence. Mike, that dude, continuing to hold me down, says you're appreciated and loved. Shout out to my chasers. Shout out to my community. Yo, listen, if y'all genuinely want to be in the community of people that's going in the direction that you're going in, join the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat. And then tap into the Discord. The link to the Discord is attached to any of the most recent videos inside of the Patreon. Is phenomenal. Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Shout out to my people over there on Cash App. Shout out to my people everywhere that's holding me down. I appreciate y'all. Let me read a couple of the super chats and we're going to go ahead and get into the show. Oh my God, look at Ray Sean. Jesus, Ray Sean. Marion B says, bro, I want to start off by saying you are appreciated and loved. You help out a lot of people pipeline. There's money or wisdom. Don't feel bad for success, which you work hard for. Be blessed. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you, Marion B. Bishop Cam Nelson says, brother Anton, God is our refuge and strength. Amen. I'm going to come back to Ray Sean. Wrath Unique says, don't give up. I'm never giving up. Sometimes I just get frustrated. I feel your pain on God. Jason 18 says, good morning, AD. Appreciate the hard work and the information you give us on a daily basis, making the world a better place in your way. Thank you, AD. Thank you. Jerry in the building. My girlfriend Jerry says, sending loves and hugs to you, AD. You have such a hard load to carry. Praying for reciprocity so that what you give will multiply in abundance. Thank you, Jerry. I love you. I appreciate you, baby. J Dub says you've created a fantastic community of like-minded individuals to thrive. We love and appreciate you more than you know, bro. Thank you, J. Oh, I know my chasers got me. This isn't a rant against chasers. Chasers hold me down. Healthy selfishness is a thing. An emergency for others is when you're available. Limit availability. Thank you. I appreciate you, EB. Thank you, my friend. Mick the Mo says, Darth Anton, I like it. I just thought of something. Let me write that down real quick. Thank you, Russell. I appreciate you. And Mick the most. Michael Russell says, not like you are a mentor, especially to the chasers. You've saved and changed many lives. We love and appreciate you, big bro. Thank you, Michael Russell. I appreciate you. Rich Steve in the building says, to whom much is given, much is required. Facts. Are you okay, AD? Bro, I know the feeling. Oh, I'm great. I am in a phenomenal space. Sometimes, though, for like 20 minutes, I get into a mood where I'll be like, man, why you keep getting evicted? Man, why everything keep falling apart? Man, why I got to keep feeding your kid and all of it? You know what I'm saying? It's almost like All right, so listen, I'm supposed to be a temporary lifeline. I'm not Section 8. I'm not Medicaid. I'm not Medicare. I'm not food stamps. You can't get on me forever and think that I'm going to continue to rock out with it. Thank you, P. Shank. Good morning to you, too. I love you. Ray Sean, my guy. Shout out to Ray Sean, always holding me down, says, the burden of success can feel heavy at times, but there's a reason why some achieve it and others don't. Thank you for providing a blueprint by leading by example. I love and appreciate you. I love you too, bro. You've been holding me down for a long time, and I absolutely love you and appreciate you. Thank you for pouring into me in the same way that I pour into you. Absolutely awesome. Thank you, Ray Sean, and thank you all of the bag chasers. Thank you to everybody that subscribed to the channel. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe, and then make sure that you share this with your family and friends. Y'all ready to get into the show? Let's start off here. I don't want to start off with tariffs. I want to start off over in Dallas, DFW. I like Dallas. I think that Dallas is awesome. I've had some of my best trips in Dallas. Dallas is a little zesty. Dallas is a little crusty around the rings around the mouth. But I love Dallas. I really do. I think that Dallas is a great place to visit. I'm not sure that I would move there. I think that it is a blue city that's a little too blue. Not as blue as Houston. If I had to pick between Houston and Dallas, I would pick Dallas. I haven't visited San Antonio. I'm about to make it my business to visit San Antonio. I'm going to San Antonio. What is the weather over in San Antonio? I keep saying I'm going to go to visit Austin. I keep saying I'm going to go and visit San Antonio, but it is not on my calendar. I got to get there. Should call me back. I got to get there. I'm going to go to Dallas, and then I'm going to hit not Dallas. I'm going to hit San Antonio, and I'm going to hit Austin in one fell swoop. Same week. The first week that y'all actually have good weather is when I'm going to jump on over there. I'm going San Antonio, and then I'm going Austin back to back. I'm going to spend like 2-3 days in each place. I got to see it. The minute that y'all weather is decent, I'm going to visit y'all. Problem with Austin is they ain't even got no basketball team. They ain't got no football, basketball team, anything. Anyways, that's not what we're getting into today. The thing that I want to get into is this rapper named G Money Lil Ronnie. I never heard of him before in my life, and it's unfortunate that the time that I'm hearing about him comes when he's getting killed at a car wash with his 5-year-old daughter in the car. Yo, what up?
Hey, what's going on?
Yo, I know you love going back and forth to Miami. I want to go visit San Antonio, and I want to visit Austin, Texas. I keep saying that I'm going to go there, so I think I'm going to go there this month. Can you put it on the itinerary, please?
Yeah, when you want to go tomorrow?
No, I'm not going tomorrow. I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out at this point. I got to look at my calendar and see what's going on, because I know we got to go to. How we gonna go tomorrow? We got a meeting.
Got a meeting today. Tomorrow is clear.
Yeah, but we got to pull permits probably after we go to the meeting.
That can be done online.
No, wait, no.
Let me handle that part. Okay.
All right, I'll figure out what my schedule looking like, and then we'll figure it out.
Okay.
Bye. Yeah, this rapper, I guess his name is Lil Ronnie. I don't know what the G Money part is, but he was hit up. I don't know if he was involved in some stuff he wasn't supposed to be in or what, but you know, whoever his ops were, they decided to come for him, and then they also just so happened to kill his daughter because she was with him. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Check it out.
Well, two people are dead after a shooting at a car wash in Forest Hill, just outside of Fort Worth. Now, this is a scene that is still very active at this point, as dozens have come to see it unfold. Fox 4's Alex Boyer joins me now with the latest on this. Alex.
Hi, Hannah. You know, we've been here all day long, and so far, Forest Hill police have yet to provide us with any additional information. According to MedStar, though, two people were killed in a shooting at this car wash behind me, and a family member tells me that it was a man and his 5-year-old daughter. Take a look. That same relative provided me with this picture of Chucky Smith and his young daughter. I'm told her birthday was just yesterday. The two were reportedly at this Slappy's Express car wash located off I-20 and Forest Hill Drive shortly before 11 a.m. when they were fatally shot. Family and friends were visibly distraught as they arrived at the scene, folks leaning on one another for support. I spoke to Smith's aunt, who is desperate for answers.
All we know is that he was tagged, he was doing the car, cleaning the car out, and somebody came through shooting and killed him and the baby. He was a good kid, y'all. He was. He didn't bother nobody.
Respectfully, how many times have we heard that? Respectfully. And I say respectfully because you never want to kick somebody when they down. You never want to speak negatively on the dead, especially when it's a 5-year-old daughter that was innocent and had nothing to do with whatever it is that he got into it with somebody about. And more importantly, I never, ever, ever blame the victim. The person that gets killed, the person that gets shot up, I don't ever want to blame the victim, and we need more information, and so I'm going to still stay on top of this. But how many times, honestly, y'all, because I'm not the person that's just going to tell you what the story is and then say, oh my God, rest in peace and all of that. I want to have real conversations, because when I say that we have horrible cultural norms, when I say that we need to fix our own community first, you know, last night, y'all was watching, half of y'all probably here was watching what was going on the Q show on Monday nights. You know, we do it every Monday night. Shout out to Q, a phenomenal person that has always been on my team and holds me down. How many times have we gotten into this conversation about what the system is and what we need to demand from other people and how we can fix our community if we just had a bunch of money? No, you would just have a bunch more guns. What's the point in demanding change from somebody else and being included when you can't even fix what you got going on within your own community? Every single day, I discard 15 different stories of this person that got killed over here and this person that got killed over there. And you know I could do those stories all day long, because when we was doing quick hits, which this is a version of quick hits, when we were doing quick hits last year and the year before, all we did was stories. This person in Chicago, this person in Houston, this person in New York, this person here, this person in LA, this person here. And most of the time, it would be a story of somebody that looked just like me perpetuating a crime against somebody that looks just like me. And occasionally you'll get somebody of Hispanic descent and white descent and all of this stuff. But if the majority of the crime is being committed against people that look like you, by people that look like you, for us, by us, FUBU, then what is the point of you sitting here having a conversation of how you can fix the community and why we need to band together against Target when you can't even band together against the people that's shooting up the people that's inside of your community? When a 5-year-old child can't be protected and the ops is so egregious that they decide that they want to come against you and shoot you up in the broad daylight at a car wash, we don't want to hear from grandma no more. Grandma has been grieving her entire life. Grandma has outlived the people that are younger than her. Grandma is watching generations that is supposed to be burying her, and they're trying to do a GoFundMe to bury them. Lord, never let my mother ever see me get buried, not over something that I can control myself. Is no reason for grandma and great grandma and mother to be burying their children and us still having conversations about the Target, Walmart, diversity, equity, and inclusion. A 5-year-old, y'all. And every time his grandma, oh, my child ain't never did nothing to nobody. They were a good kid. Every time it's the same story. I've been watching this story since I was born in the 80s. Same story. Different day, different character, different person. Same thing. Over and over and over and over. We not even tripping about it. We've been desensitized against it.
He did. Him and that baby.
Sky 4 captured part of the crime scene from up above. You can see a red Dodge Challenger with its doors open being processed by investigators. A neighbor told us that she heard between 15 to 20 gunshots. Fort Worth and Mansfield police officers are here assisting with crowd control. And at this point, again, we have limited information from Forest Hill Police. The police chief told us briefly by phone that this was still very much an active scene and that he would be putting out a press release later on. We're still waiting for that. So at this point, we don't know if they have any persons of interest, anybody in custody, or a motive for this deadly encounter.
They so worried about Trump, talking about Trump is racist. You ain't got to worry about a man down the street. He got 15 to 20 shots lined up for you. 15 to 20 shots lined up for you. The minute that you go to clean your car, right after your daughter's birthday, they gonna find you. They gonna find you.
A 30-year-old man and his 5-year-old daughter were murdered at a car wash in the Fort Worth suburb of Forest Hill.
At this point, it appears to be a targeted shooting, and police are looking for 2 gunmen. Dozens of evidence markers show where the gunfire erupted today at the car wash on I-20 at Forest Hill Drive. A 30-year-old rapper and his young daughter were both killed.
A rapper, 30, daughter. As soon as I seen the pictures, I ain't even gonna lie, I started stereotyping. And my stereotyping was right.
Peyton Yeager is in Forest Hill with the update from police on their investigation. Peyton.
Steve and Heather, that first 911 call came in just before 11 a.m. this morning, and we did not receive an update.
Y'all said this Jasmine Crockett territory. I want to see her over here addressing this issue if this is true.
Forest Hill Police until just about an hour ago at 8 p.m. They now tell us police have identified at least one of the suspects and have issued a capital murder warrant. However, police are not releasing any of the names of the suspects. We know that 2 men, police say, opened fire on the victims. A witness who lives across the street from the car wash tells me she heard multiple rounds of gunfire. Take a listen.
6 the first time. And then it was like a half a second to a second, I heard 6 more. And then a half a second or a second later, I heard 3 more.
Becky Johnson startled by what she says sounded like back-to-back gunfire. A deadly shooting in broad daylight at a car wash off Forest Hill Drive and Interstate 20.
I could see people filling for their cars.
Johnson watching customers take cover behind their own vehicles. Forest Hill police say 2 men got out of a Kia, approached the victim's car, and opened fire. Sky 4 video shows dozens.
Look at all of those shell casings all over the ground. Gosh, Lord, have mercy. And they took out everybody. Anybody that was in that car was going. Anybody that was in that car was going.
Dozens of evidence markers around a maroon Challenger. Also a vacuum still.
Kia, Challenger. Dog, like, is this a rerun? Are we in a simulation? Are we in a simulation? That's all I'm trying to understand. You cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. This is crazy how the stereotypes really do right themselves. The stereotype is right there. That's why I don't even drive my Challenger. I just leave it in the garage. I just like looking at it. I like looking at it. It's starting it up every once in a while. Drive it around the neighborhood in the suburbs. Take it back in the car in the garage and just park it because I don't even want to be associated with the stereotype. I just so happen to like big V8s. Good gosh.
Laying in the front seat. Forest Hill police confirm 2 were killed in the Monday shooting.
And a baby, his baby, a baby.
Family members tell Fox 4 the victims are 30-year-old Chucky Smith, known as North Texas rapper G Money Lil Ronnie, and his 5-year-old daughter. The little girl just had a birthday yesterday.
Cleaning the car out, and somebody came through shooting and killed him and the baby.
Fort Worth and Mansfield police were on scene to help with crowd.
Look, helping with crowd control. Why they all on the lawn? What y'all gonna do?
Control. Raw emotions as loved ones rushed to the car wash. Cries were heard as people.
Rest in peace. Condolences to the family, especially over the 5-year-old. It's unfortunate. The girl never had a chance. Never had a chance at all. Never had a chance. And for the people that wind up committing this crime, seriously, it's a dark place somewhere in hell. Gotta be. Jesus. Pray for the family, y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. It's sad, bro. It's genuinely sad. It's really, really sad that this is the stuff that people are experiencing on a regular basis, man. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. I wouldn't want to do that to nobody. I don't think that's... I just don't understand it, man. I genuinely don't understand it. Let me read some of the super chats and we'll continue on with the show. Pookie's, I got to bring you the news. I got to talk about what's happening culturally. Pookie's friend Ray Ray says he was on live saying his ops would not come to that car wash and do anything to him. Now I got him and his daughter deleted. I have to blame. Oh, no, he wasn't. Was he really, Ray? Seriously? So they knew where he was because he went live and revealed his location, and he just so happened to have ops. Man, this is dumb. Ray, tell me you playing, bro. Tell me you playing, big dog. No, that ain't true. Tell me you playing, bro. You got to be trolling right now. Shout out to Maria Porti says, for black on black crime, where's Mr. Sharp? Yeah, we don't never see no, shout out to you on Cash App. So we don't never see no protester when it come to people getting killed in their own community advocating for people to stop. Gosh. Mick the Mo says, yeah, Jazz, what say you? Shout out to Jazz. Christopher Mayberry said he was known as the best gambler in Texas. Well, you really putting a target on your back because I don't want to gamble nowhere except for in a casino. Uncut Underground says, this ain't nothing for Dallas. He just happened to be a rapper. Let's get to the tariffs. Yo, we not going to uncut. We can't disregard a 5-year-old. It's not just no. You're not going to say that this is nothing, bro. I'm not going to let you do that. This is a child. If it was just him, a rapper that got killed, then we could sit there and say, hey, man, not even a big deal. It's a strong possibility I might not even done this story. I wouldn't even have done this story if it was just him by himself. But the fact that they have his 5-year-old daughter got sprayed up, we can't be that desensitized, bro. Honestly, a 5-year-old, a child, a daughter, a little girl. Like, we not just gonna skip past that and act like that's a big deal, bro. Yeah, okay, people get killed every day, but not 5-year-old children. Not a 5-year-old, bro. Like, come on, man. Y'all gotta at least have a little bit of sensitivity towards the situation. The show ain't going nowhere. We gonna get to the tariffs. We gonna get to Bernie Sanders. We gonna get to JD Vance. We gonna get to Zelenskyy. We gonna get to the migrants. We gonna get to everything. But good God, bro, what reality do y'all live in? Y'all don't have no sympathy for children, at least? You know, I come from an era where women and children, unless the woman is the one that set you up, is off limits. Parents, grandparents, women, children, all of that stuff. You supposed to have a line that you don't cross, right? So we're that demonic to where we only thing that matters is you got to get removed off of this earth. You, your daughter, everybody. Y'all wild, bro. Y'all are wild. Y'all are absolutely wild, man. I don't understand. Honestly, I don't understand y'all. I don't understand. Maybe I'm removed. Maybe I'm just disconnected. Y'all keep saying I'm disconnected. Y'all the ones that's disconnected. For real, for real. Supposed to have limits, bro. PowerSat LLC says stop with the GoFundMe accounts. Need to start taking out life insurance policies on these good kids. I agree. Derek Adams says, who was singing that Negro spiritual while Jazz was on her rant? That was I don't know who that was. Whiskey Pierre says, Anton, sir, praise be God. Need to finish all of the paperwork. Now fully accepted in the college SNHU, taking cybersecurity UMA. Your motivation and Mike, that dude. Shout out to you, man. I love that. I love that. Aaron Good says, having ops and going live while your 5-year-old is with you is crazy. Everybody don't need to have kids. Talk about it, man. It's real talk. Prayers up for the 5-year-old, man. That breaks my heart, bro. It's some stuff that just breaks my heart. I'm glad that the moderators is on board. Hey, listen, if you type something in the chat, you don't have to type it 7 times. Everybody's seen it. Even if I didn't see it, everybody's seen it, all right? So they will time you out if you are spamming the chat. I shouldn't have to say that. Don't copy and paste your message 7 times. We seen it the first time. You only got to do it 1 time, and then you can move over to a different message and type something completely different. All right, y'all? All right, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. You're right, Stephen Wiley. Lord, bless us to go about doing things the right way. Be with us. Be with our children, man. Protect our children. Protect our children. Protect our loved ones. Protect the people that are innocent. Protect them against our own bad decisions. Lord, be with our kids. Be with our kids. Be with our kids. It's not even about us. Everything that we do past a certain age, I would say maybe 35, 36, is mostly for people that we provide for, that we love, that we take care of. Be with our children. Keep them safe. Keep them safe from stray bullets, gunfire, pedophiles, rapists. Keep them safe from the people in their own family that's doing negative things to them. Bless our children. Bless our children. Protect our children. Protect our children when they go to school, not to be influenced the wrong way. Protect our children not to be impacted by when they have to go to daycare and they're being indoctrinated. But protect our children even when they grown and they think that they grown and they think that they 18, 19, 20, 20 years old, 21, 22 years old. They think that they grown and they can make decisions for themselves. But bless them not to be crash dummies. Bless them to be focused. Help them to understand that they still children because their brain isn't even fully developed yet. Keep our children safe from predators and people that are angry and you know, bless them not to be easily influenced and bless them to always to come back to you and the thing that we imparted into them or we put into them when they were younger. In Jesus' name, amen, bro. Oh, right, Molly. Keep them safe from their own parents. Gosh. Shell Shock says, the fact that he got his daughter murked over some braggadocious crap is extremely pathetic. She didn't even make it to the 1st grade. Protect our children, bro. Anyways, let's move over, y'all. Let's get into the money. Let's get into the tariffs. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications. If you haven't already, make sure you tap into the Patreon. We got a live stream popping off tomorrow. That information will be updated. I dropped that in the Patreon yesterday. It'll be updated with the link by tomorrow morning because we don't need everybody getting a link. We got to make sure that the right people had a link. And make sure you send us to your family and friends. All right? Y'all ready to get into the show? Let's get to it. So, tariffs. Tariffs, 25% tariffs. This is something that Trump has been talking about since he was on the campaign trail. This is something that Trump implemented when he was in office the first time. Tariffs. The main tariff person that they was going against the first term was China because he was able to renegotiate the North American Free Trade Agreement, which was supposed to create parity between the United States, Mexico, and Canada, when it came to being active trade partners. Canada is one of our biggest trade partners, and this is going to hit them the most, right? One of the things that Trump was requiring was for them to control their borders. Now, some people will say, well, they've already been controlling their borders. It's not a whole lot of immigration that's coming across the northern border, but that's not true. And we're going to deep dive into it. But for now, let's just deal with the blanket tariffs that go into effect and how it's going to impact you, the consumer, and what Trump had to say about it. Again, make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's rock.
Good evening, Lester. Shares of U.S. automakers fell, but so did chip makers and other companies now really worried about a potential trade war. And tonight, President Trump raising tariffs on most goods from China by another 10%. With only hours to go, 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico seem all but certain.
The tariffs, they're all set. They go into effect tomorrow.
American auto companies bracing for big new costs. This factory in Livonia, Michigan, churns out 205 million auto parts a year.
This will get put into one of our nut assemblies.
Chuck Dardis is president and COO. He buys 30% of his materials from Canada. Chuck, tariffs on Canadian goods mean what for you and your business?
It means dramatically increased costs that we might not be able to recover.
The auto industry more sensitive to tariffs than most. It relies on cross-border tariff-free trade, rules written in President Trump's first term. The new tariffs inject big new costs and uncertainty into a supply chain still grappling with higher than normal inflation.
It's very alarming to us and many, many, many others.
Tariffs are taxes paid at the border by importers who either eat the cost themselves or pass some or all of it onto their customers and ultimately consumers. Tariffs could raise prices for the average new car by at least $4,000 and up to $12,000. Trump has cited fentanyl flow as a reason for the tariffs.
I would just say this to people in Canada or Mexico: if they're going to build car plants, the people that are doing them are much better off building here.
And more tariffs are coming. On March 12th come new duties on steel and aluminum. The president has threatened the European Union and virtually every American trading partner. For now, high anxiety here in the auto industry, where parts and components in a completed car or truck have likely crossed borders multiple times. This isn't a wrinkle in your business. This is
not a wrinkle. It's a wicked problem.
Christine Romans, NBC News, Livonia, Michigan.
A lot of people think that the purpose of Trump implementing tariffs is to ultimately level the playing field as far as the trade deficit that Trump is saying that we have with Canada and Mexico, as well as securing our borders. I believe personally that tariffs serve two purposes as far as the Trump administration is concerned. The first purpose is, well, actually three purposes. The first purpose is it is a negotiating tool and tactic because people are more willing to bend the knee and do the thing that you want them to do, or other countries are more willing to bend the knee and do the things that you want them to do when they become interdependent on you for their success and their survival. Of course, you're going to have people on our side of the United States of America say, I don't believe it. I stand with Canada. I stand with Mexico. I stand with Ukraine. We know you against everything that is America because you anti-Trump and you anti-America and you want the whole country to fall because you broke, dusty, poor, and you living in your mother's basement. Neither here nor there. The point of tariffs in the Trump administration is threefold. The first thing is it serves as a negotiating tool and tactic. Meaning you have to believe that I will implement these tariffs, and you have to understand that if you are not doing things the right way, and if there's so far of a deficit, if there's so much of a disagreement of where we supposed to be as far as you securing the borders and taking care of business and making sure that we don't have this huge trade deficit, then you're going to have to understand that I'm serious about this. And if you're not serious about it, or people don't believe that you're serious about it, they'll continue to take advantage of you because they look at America as an open wallet. The second reason for tariffs is we need people to secure our borders. It is a real thing that so many drugs and so many things are flowing against the United States of America or flowing into the United States of America, and people are absolutely taking care of our open borders, taking advantage of our open borders, which you'll see later on in this program today. But the third thing, and this is the most important reason that we are having tariffs that are implemented against other countries, specifically Canada, because Canada obviously is not as much of an egregious partner when it comes to immigration and the flow of drugs across over into the United States of America. The third reason is that we ultimately want companies to say, we are going to build plants, we are going to build businesses, we are going to do business in America with Americans. So, this supplier right here over in Livonia that is sourcing their parts from Canada, in which a lot of these people, they source all of their stuff from overseas. They go over to China, they go over to India, they go over to other countries, and they buy from outside countries to do business and sell you parts in which they don't pass on the cost, or they don't save you money, right? They don't reduce the cost of the product that they ultimately build for you and say, okay, well, this is what we're going to offer it to you for because we're getting it at a cheaper price. They just have a bigger profit margin. Of course, they're going to complain and say, oh, I'm not sure we'll be able to survive. I guarantee you they will be able to survive. The one thing I know about business owners is that they make adjustments. They know, okay, well, you know what? Listen, so we can't sell as many for as big of a profit margin, so we're going to shrink our profit margin and we're going to go more with quantity. We're going to make sure that we expand in order to have the same profit margin. We'll just have smaller profit margin per vehicle, but we'll have more profit per quarter because we're going to move more products. But more importantly, we also are supporting the American economy because we need to invest in America and we need to buy from American companies. The same product that we are buying over in Canada most of the time, we can get right here in America, but we choose not to because we want to increase our profit margins, which is not passed on to the consumer. It's a scare tactic often at times for them to say, we're going to have to increase prices and pass that over to the consumer. No, the profit margin was already healthy and they just fattened in their own pockets. So now you'll be forced to actually do business in American with other Americans, which create more jobs and it create a more robust economy, because the same way that you communicate and you say, well, the black dollar always leaves the community within one cycle of one person passing on the dollar. It's the same thing when it comes to the products that we're sourcing from other countries. That money is flowing overseas. They're profiting from it. And there's nothing wrong with having a great business partner. However, when it becomes such a disparity in how you're benefiting versus how we're benefiting, then we got to reset and we got to figure out how it is that we can bring jobs back to America and force people to do business in America similar to the way that they do China. You cannot go over into China and just automatically import vehicles over there and just start selling vehicles and start up a dealership made in the USA, shipped over into China. That's not how it works. Not even the parts, not even anything. If you want to do business over in China, you need to build in China. Tesla couldn't just go over there and start selling cars over into China. They had to build a manufacturing plant. They had to build a manufacturing plant. You can't go into other countries and just start selling the product. You can't just import products over into the countries and just start selling it. You have to be an invested partner inside of that particular country. Otherwise, they're not even going to let you do business. See, the one thing that we do over here in the United States of America is that we complain. We are the biggest complainers in the world. We are sassy, ashy, and we complain about every single thing. But the one thing that we're not going to do is support American. Y'all keep saying everybody need to have a livable wage. Everybody need to be able to support their family. People should only be able to work 40 hours. All of this. Well, the way that you do that is by doing business with other people inside of America. I can go and get a bunch of illegal migrants to go and build homes, and then we can sell them for cheap like they do right by the border down there in Texas. The reason why homes in Texas are cheaper initially is because they throwing them up looking like a piece of crap in the inside. They can't even pass inspections. And more importantly, they're built by people on cheap labor, on slave labor. I choose to make an investment to do business with people that's in my own community and pay them whatever it is that I think is reasonable. I pay my contractors what they asked for. The guy that built the deck, the guy that do the excavation, the guy that do the framing, all of that. And guess what? They're using American workers that are feeding their families, and we do business over and over again. I make money. They make money. We keep money in the community, and we continue to build up the community because we're doing business with each other. We source all of our products by local companies, and we use everybody that's inside of the community. That's a small example of a bigger issue that we need to solve for here in the United States of America, which is one of the reasons why we're implementing these tariffs. Let's switch over. I want to see what Trump had to say about it in particular. And this is what he had to say about the tariffs being implemented and them going into effect.
Mr. President. One aspect to that, Honda announced they're coming to Indiana because of the tariffs. Once again, you're bringing...
Honda announced that they're coming to Indiana. Indiana need as many jobs as they can possibly get. Have you ever been to Gary? Indianapolis is beautiful because Indianapolis is a conference town. It's a conference city. It's built for companies coming there and doing conferences. I've been to Indianapolis. It is absolutely beautiful. Indiana, you have a great state. I love Indianapolis. I think I got a vlog up still on the Anton Daniels channel of when we was riding bikes. We went to the zoo, all of that stuff. That was before the pandemic. Honda is saying that they are going to build cars and they're opening up a new manufacturing plant in Indiana because of tariffs. It is a direct result. It is not something that you're going to see immediately impacted as far as how it affects the economy. But 100%, there are hundreds of companies, even Canadian companies. I'm seeing a lot of videos, and I'll show them to you tomorrow. We can go over it. But there's a lot of companies that's saying, you know what? It doesn't make sense for us to still be over in Canada. Doesn't make sense for us to still be over in Japan. Doesn't make sense for us to still be in Mexico. We're going to have to go ahead and proactively build plants and build manufacturing and jobs right here in the United States of America for all of the people that's laid off from the federal workforce. It's a direct result.
Additional jobs in manufacturing. You want to comment on that as well?
Well, Honda's coming, and I told you about Apple that they're going to be starting.
No. Somebody said Honda builds cars in the U.S. It's not that big of a deal. No, Honda builds a certain type of car that they sell en masse in the United States of America. They're building more cars. They're building more plants. They're building better partnerships with the United States of America. Another reason why you then have to incentivize them to do so. You got to make it easier, reduce the burden. Okay, you get tariffs if you do it outside the United States of America. You build it inside of the United States of America. You get tax breaks because you're hiring American workers and you're keeping the dollar circulating here.
To build massively here, $500 billion.
Facts. Apple is too.
Many other companies going to be announced, but we had many that have already announced, and no, it's going to be great. It's looking really strong. I don't think this country has ever seen anything like we're seeing right now. Now, the tariffs, as you know, will start a week earlier than the reciprocal, which is going to be on a couple of weeks earlier. Reciprocal tariffs start on April 2nd. And I wanted to make it April 1st, but I didn't want to go April Fool's Day because that costs a lot of money, but that one day. But so we're going April 2nd. But very importantly, tomorrow tariffs 25% on Canada and 25% on Mexico, and that'll start. So they're going to have a tariff. So what they have to do is build their car plants, frankly, and other things in the United States, in which case they have no tariffs. In other words, you build, and this is exactly what Mr. Wei is doing, by building here. Otherwise, they'll build, if they did them in Taiwan to send them here, they'll have 25% or 30% or 50% or whatever the number may be someday. It'll go only up.
So what he's basically saying is the cost for you to import it into the United States of America will be more than the cost for you to continue to sell it to Americans by building it here and using American workers that then build up our towns, build up our tax base, build up our infrastructure. It adds to our revenue inside of the United States of America. It's a win-win long term. When you think about what's happening with the Trump administration, them getting people out of here, them building jobs here, them taxing other countries and forcing them to bend the knee, them making sure that things get taken care of. And we only about 40 to 41 days into this administration. We're setting this country up to thrive 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years from now, so your kids and your grandkids won't be indoctrinated and they won't be playing in women's sports, and they'll have jobs and they'll have thriving communities, and hopefully they'll have a reduced amount of taxes that they have to pay so that they can have a lifestyle that's worth living, and they can continue on the traditions that you set forth today. Everything that's happening in the Trump administration today is setting the precedent for people that's going to benefit after we long gone. It's not always about you. That's what the people of yesteryear did. They made the sacrifices so that we can then have the life that we have, but we so entitled, we so coddled, we don't want to go through nothing. We're not ready to continue to make the changes and the adjustments, so we don't really understand the economics of it. We haven't educated ourselves to how this is going to benefit America. Apple is building jobs here. Honda is building. Apple, what did they say? $500 million? Or was it 50 billion? It was something crazy that they said that they was going to invest inside of the United States of America. Because they can bring manufacturing back home, but you got to incentivize them to do so. Because we can't do that to other countries and we continue to support their economy.
But by doing it here, he has no tariff, so he's way ahead of the game. And I would just say this to people in Canada or Mexico, if they're going to build car plants, the people that are doing them are much better off building here because we have the market.
Somebody says, guess Anton hates free speech since he kicked me out. When did I kick anybody out? How did I kick anybody out? I am the person that says, if you disagree with me, I'm cool with that. Say what you want to say in the chat. Just don't spam and just don't get disrespectful towards anybody's kids or wives or anything like that. Who kicked you out? You're talking right now. How did I kick you out if you're still in the chat? There's plenty of people right now inside of the chat that are liberals or Democrats and they disagree with me. There's some people that are conservatives that disagree with me. Feel free. Listen, we are not a censorship space. We are not an echo chamber. This is my opinion based off of what I'm presenting to you, but I welcome people all the time. Uncut Underground, often at times he disagree with me all the time. Eric D, he's an original liberal disagreeer, even though he says he's an independent. There's plenty of people that disagree with me, but you may have done something that you're not supposed to do to get timed out. That doesn't mean that you're blocked. Stick around.
We're the market where they sell the most. And so I think it's going to be very exciting for the automobile companies, very exciting for, I can think of any, as an example, North Carolina, they had the grid. I used to go there to buy furniture for hotels, and it's been wiped out. That business all went to other countries. And now it's all going to come back into North Carolina, the furniture manufacturer.
And we're very excited about that. Shout out to Trump for standing on business. But, you know, I can't just look at it one way. I have to be objective, and I got to look at it from the other lens. So what we're going to do in this next segment is we're going to go into China and Canada's response to the United States of America implementing tariffs and see what they have to say because, again, we don't want to operate in an echo chamber. We want to see it from every side. But before we do that, let me go ahead and read some of these super chats. Casual Germ says, Trump told the cartels, you want that Fent money, pay your taxes. Stephen Butler says, Honda just announced they're building a new Civic in Indiana to avoid the tariffs. They said, forget Mexico a lot. Do you know why the United States of America no longer builds small cars here? Ford doesn't offer any car here. They only offer the police vehicle, the Ford Taurus. Stellantis is almost literally phasing out every single car. General Motors already said that after the Malibu, they are done building any car, and that's a legacy vehicle. They are done building any car inside of the United States of America. Part of the cost increase is because it is unaffordable. It is unaffordable. And so what they did was they were incentivized to go and build it in other places like Mexico and China and all of the Buicks. Almost every Buick is imported, is built, designed, and assembled over in China, and then is bought here inside of the United States of America. Every Buick. Buick is now a Chinese company. It's owned by General Motors. It used to be an American company, but they ship it, they import it here into the United States of America because it's cheaper to build there. You're enabling the ones that's actually running all of the immigrants into our country and flooding our borders with Fenty. Taiwan is building 3 chip factories in Arizona. Let me read the rest of these super chats. We're going to get over into their response. Just Christian said, did you see Trump's announcement about Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company investing $100 billion into producing chips in America? There you go. But liberals are so short-sighted because they can't wait to get some scrambled eggs. Oh my God, my eggs. Boy, don't you know breakfast is the cheapest thing that you can buy at a restaurant? Breakfast is the cheapest thing that you can get at the restaurant. I haven't been to a breakfast restaurant or a brunch restaurant where the bill is above $50. And that'd be for 2 or 3 people. I'd be feeling sorry for the servers because I'd be like, man, y'all get y'all get shafted on y'all tips if they tipping y'all 15 to 20%. I want my eggs for $1 for a dozen. Lil Ronnie really didn't bother anybody he just loved gambling. His CEO beefs with a lot of people, though. I don't know nothing about him. All I know is that the 5-year-old got killed, and I don't like that. Texas Rap Tune says people complain about lack of livable wages and think tariff raised prices. Do you see wages, not simply jobs, increasing through tariffs? If so, how? Let me say that again. People complain about lack of livable wages and think tariffs raise prices. Do you see wages, not simply jobs, increasing through tariffs? If so, how? Yes, absolutely. Because it's all about supply and demand, right? When the available workers are readily available in a specific industry, you drive down the price of it because there is no demand for it. I'll give you an example. When software engineering was exploding and design, UX, UI design was becoming a thing in the 2000s, that was when I started to get into the game because before there was no user experience. They didn't put an emphasis on the design aspect of it and the software engineering aspect of it. But when it started to explode, the need for it was outsized because you had Google, you had Microsoft, you had all of these companies. Facebook was coming into existence. PayPal, technological companies, even the legacy companies had started transitioning into software engineering companies because they realized the tech side of it was how they started to make money in the subscription services versus actually just selling and manufacturing vehicles because we no longer made things inside of the United States of America. So whereas it was much easier for the UAW to be able to negotiate for a better wage because we actually built stuff in the United States of America, they lost their leverage and then they had to basically succumb to layoffs or whatever it is that was going on. And you've seen that happen in the 2008, 2007, 2006, when Detroit absolutely got wiped out because we wasn't diversified as an industry. Meanwhile, at that time, you could get equity, and that was unheard of for a regular worker unless you was in a startup. You could get equity in a company based off of you joining, and that was the incentive for them to make you an employee because there was such a high demand for people with this skill set that we had not nurtured, and it had basically come into existence based off of the explosion of the technological era. You understand what I'm saying? So as social media took off, as these companies took off, as the profits took off, it created a demand for higher paying wages, not just because they wanted to give you higher wages, but because they couldn't afford not to, because you were the person that was driving the profitability inside of the company. So my point is that it's supply and demand. When you artificially manufacture wages, such as what's happening over in California and them mandating, hey, you got to pay burger flippers $25 an hour, it doesn't operate the same as if you incentivizing companies to create jobs, which then determine what market is available and what they need inside of that company that then drives the demand because they have to fill a need. They have to fill a void. The more cars you sell, the more you need people that work there, so on and so forth. It gives you more leverage, more power because the supply and demand aspect of it is the thing that drives up the wages. But you also need the availability of the workers. You need the training. You need the existence of these universities that put people in a position to get these jobs. And so it's an economy. It's a cycle of things that actually benefit the entire economy because you got to go, get the education. You got to then pay the taxes and live with the infrastructure. You then create strong families and you buy things. You go out shopping. You go to games. And then the restaurants then feed off of everything that's happening inside of the community. Then you have people incentivized to start to create small businesses to feed another need, right? Whenever there's a need, that's how you get really rich. The way that you get rich is you create a product that fills a need within the marketplace that people didn't know existed. That's how Amazon blew up. That's how Tesla blew up. That's how a lot of these companies blow up. You feel a need. You feel a void in the marketplace that did not exist. Anyways, hopefully I answered your question decent enough. Thank you, Texas Rap Tunes. I appreciate you. Zach says, I do exporting in most places charge us 20 to 60%. Parking lot PIMP says, I'm a professional car hauler. You are right. Honda has several plants in the U.S., Lincoln, Alabama, Marysville, and East Liberty, Ohio, and Greenfield, Indiana. They're building more cars here than they building in Japan. Danielle Smith says, thanks for not selling out, standing 10 toes, brother. I appreciate you. Make the most of it. The fact that we fighting for food that's killing us is crazy. Say banana. What? Say banana. Dolores says, good morning, Anton. I appreciate you. I found your channel a month ago, and I love your honesty and common sense. Hopefully y'all learning something. Hopefully we having this conversation in truth. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get it from the other side, y'all. All right? Let's get it from the other side. Let's get it from the Canada side, from the Mexico side, from the China side, and let's see what they have to say about retaliatory tariffs against the United States of America for putting tariffs on them for the products that they got coming in here. Make sure you hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Let's get right to the White House. CNN's Elena Treen is there. So much happening, Elena, in just the last few hours. Give us the latest.
That's right. Let's start with tariffs, John, because, look, this is something that the president had threatened to do. He was moving forward to do it more than a month ago, and now it is here. It's something that still, even in the final hours yesterday, as they were leading up to this new deadline of this morning, people on Wall Street, people on Capitol Hill were still hoping, and certainly, of course, Ottawa and Beijing and Mexico City were hoping that the president wouldn't move forward with, but now he has. I'm just going to break down exactly what these tariffs are. One is that we know that he has implemented the 25% blanket tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Those took effect this morning. But then he also bumped up tariffs on China from 10% to 20%. And immediately, we've seen some of these countries retaliate with tariffs of their own. China, for example, retaliated by announcing 15% tariffs on chicken, wheat, corn, and cotton imports from the United States. They also announced a 10% tariff on soybeans, pork, beef, and other various goods. Canada, for their part, we heard Prime Minister Justin Trudeau say that they are going to have $30 billion or tariffs on $30 billion worth of U.S. goods, and that they would impose an additional $125 billion tariffs on American goods by March 25th. All to say, look, it's unclear how the markets are going to be impacted by this, but this is coming at a time when already you have a very inflation-weary Americans, many of whom do not want to be thrust into this trade war.
We've got Vanessa Yukevich connecting us this hour from New York. Mark Stewart is in Beijing, and Paula Newton has reaction from Ottawa in Canada. Vanessa, let me start with you. Let's break down what we know about these tariffs first and foremost.
Well, certainly. We know now that there are tariffs in place on Canada and Mexico, 25% from all goods from Canada and Mexico coming into the United States, an additional 10% on goods coming in from China into the U.S. right now. And this is critical because American consumers get a lot of things from these three major trading partners, things like oil, food, electronics, and cars. And we can expect that prices on these key commodities will rise. And we just learned moments ago that the president of Mexico announced that she will be putting retaliatory tariff and non-tariff measures in place starting on Sunday. We will learn what those are. But we've already heard from China.
Sound like they got to get products to tariffs
15% and 10% tariffs on agriculture exports coming from the U.S. going into China. And also similarly, Canada has put additional tariffs in place hitting agriculture products. And that is key for American farmers here because they were hit with retaliatory tariffs in 2018, so much so that the U.S. federal government had to provide financial assistance for them. So yet again, they are taking the brunt of these retaliatory tariffs here in the U.S. And for U.S. consumers, this is coming at a very shaky time economically. Consumer sentiment fell in the month of...
I can't sell. Every time I go through the airport, every time I stop by something, every time I go to the store, it's full. It's full. Everybody must not be suffering out here. Somebody making some money. It's a lot of people that's getting to the bag. I know it's a lot of people that's complaining on social media, but it's a lot of people that are getting to the bag. I went to the design district on Sunday before I caught my flight, and boy, it looked like Christmas out there. The fact of the matter is that I believe that 90 to 95%, maybe even 98% of all products that we buy should be American made. I come from an era in the 80s where, and maybe it was just a Detroit thing, maybe it was a Detroit manufacturing thing, where you could not even park a foreign car. If it was made by Toyota, if it was made by Volkswagen, if it was made by Honda, if it was made by anybody other than Ford, Chrysler, or GM, Cadillac, Lincoln, Stankin' Lincoln, if it wasn't a Ram product, if it wasn't a GMC, if it wasn't something like that, you couldn't even park close to the plant. I come from a space where we used to put America first, where, yeah, you may have paid a little bit more for your product, but you kept your uncles and your sons and your husbands and all of y'all, and maybe even your wives, because they started getting jobs inside of the plant. You kept them in business because we bought American-made products. I come from a different era where it wasn't about getting the cheapest. It was about getting the best thing that was best for your family, while at the same time being reasonable and keeping the people that's in your community employed. I remember when the UAW, before Sean Fain got there, way before Sean Fain started taking over the president and started bowing to Biden and endorsing Kamala Harris. I remember where it was, you was likely to get your tire spit on or something. Your car was going to be towed if you worked at a plant and you bought a foreign vehicle. I remember people actually they would buy the cars that they work for, the companies that they work for, just to be able to get back and forth to work because it was too much hassle to go and get a foreign vehicle. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have the choice to do what you want to do. I'm just saying that the patriotism, the dedication, the love, the people that was willing to actually buy the products and make sure that their cousins and their uncles was employed was a real thing. This was before Walmart. This was before all of those companies came in and started kicking in the doors. Amazon, y'all loved all of that. Nope, everybody bought local. Everybody supported local. Everybody supported their friends. And it was where everybody knows your name. Honestly, I remember it used to be America. We didn't have all of these treasonous people. We did not have all of these treasonous people. Shout out to my dog, Lance Swain. You know I love you. We didn't have people that was anti-president, anti-American, anti-anything. It was America first before everything. Even if you bought a foreign vehicle, you always had an American vehicle first. Don't you know that when you go over to their country, they don't mess with y'all? They don't buy anything? Contrary to popular belief, I know that everybody like, oh man, you see these TikToks where they say Japan is living in 2050, China is living in this and that, so on and so forth. No, they not. No, they not. They vehicles are small, they bold. I'm going to tell you the truth. I was in one of the most technologically advanced cities in the world. Tokyo is beautiful. It is gorgeous. I love it. Tokyo is a conservative place that has the infrastructure of New York, but it's cleaner, it's better, and it's safer. It doesn't operate like New York. The cars there, 98% of the cars there, they are Japanese cars, but they are old, bold, slow, and small. Get off the internet and go see some stuff for yourself. Go to these places. If you went over to Gary, Indiana, like I have and explored, if you go and visit some of these small town American spaces, go to Milwaukee. I visited Milwaukee. Go to Gary, Indiana. Go anywhere outside of Chicago. Go to the Midwest. Go to some of these places in the South. I've been over in Biloxi. It is largely a military town. Go to these places, right? It is an Air Force town. Go and visit other places in America and not just go and spending all of your money and outside of the country. Keep some money inside of the United States of America. Do both. Go and see these towns. Go and visit and take a tour of the Harley Davidson factory up in Milwaukee. Go to the Pops Brewery. I went and seen there, and I actually talked to the workers that was up there. Go and see Middle America. It is a beautiful, beautiful place and a beautiful, awesome country. But y'all so anti-America and y'all want to be foreign so bad. Oh, I got Indian in my family. I got Chinese in my family. Look at me with the good baby hair that's pasted on the side of my head. You so anti-American that you against your own family, your own best interest, and then you want to say, well, where's all the jobs? Go on a road trip, tour the country. Go to somewhere else besides just the most popular thing that you can think of, the big place. I've been to the super liberal towns. Okay, I'm familiar with what Portland is happening over there. I'm familiar with what's happening over in this city, and that city, and this city, and that city. I go and regularly, I literally just made a phone call and said, hey, I want to go visit San Antonio. I need to see what this place is like, besides just the Dallas, besides just the Houston, besides just the Miamis. You know what's happening in Gary, Indiana? You know why their economy is sputtering? It's not just because it's ghetto. It's not just because it's messed up. It's not just because of black people. It's actually some good parts over in Indiana, in Gary, Indiana. It's some dope places in Gary, Indiana. But one of the things that I found is that the steel manufacturing industry is upended because of all of this foreign steel that's being poured into the United States of America because y'all want cheaper prices. Because you want cheaper prices, the steel industry is absolutely decimated over there in Gary, Indiana. That's why the city looks like that, because they have no commerce happening, and you willing to eat your own just so you can have some eggs for $2.
February, inflation is starting to heat up, and these tariffs bring a lot of uncertainty in terms of prices. And then consumers usually, as prices rise, they start to pull back. And that has made Wall Street here very nervous. You mentioned at the open there that stocks close, the markets close, the Dow down by 650 points.
I'm coming to San Antonio. I'm coming to visit.
All gains that were made since Trump was elected back in November. So there's a lot of uncertainty here playing out. Businesses are nervous, consumers are starting to become nervous, and we are really starting to see the beginning of a trade war. And I emphasize beginning, because this could obviously only
entire
escalate
generations,
from here,
Enterprise. Yep. Entire generations was raised.
And Mark, let me bring you in out of Beijing, Vanessa.
You used to be able to have your grandfather work at the plant. Your grandfather then pulled your father in and said, hey, man, you need a job? Because, the father, he was a little dusty. And so once he got too dusty, they say, hey, man, I'm going to pull you into the plant and I'm going to get you a job. What happens after that is the same thing that my brother did to me. You know why I worked in the steel mill? I worked in the steel mill because my brother, as soon as I got out of high school, my older brother was like, yo, fam, I remember it like it was yesterday. Remember it like it was yesterday. Me and my two older brothers is riding in a car. My oldest brother, who was 7 years older than me, driving his new car, said, man, y'all ain't getting no money out here in these streets. I'm 17 going on 18. And we like, man, what you talking about? Boy, we getting plenty of money, man. I'm straight, I'm chilling, I'm hanging, I'm rocking, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I asked him, I said, let me see your paycheck. Let me see your check stub, because we used to actually get physical check stubs, not just e-check stuff. Early 2000s, man, let me see your check stub. Man, he showed me that check stub. I seen all of them commas. I said, man, you getting this in a steel mill? He's like, dog, you can work as much overtime as you want. I said, wait a minute. What do you mean you can work anything over 40 hours is time and a half. Anything on Sunday is double time. Anything on the holidays is triple time. Triple time. Triple time? Man, I was livid. I said, man, put my other brother, he was like, nah, I just want to chill. I said, hey, dog, put me in. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. I'm not messing around with y'all, man. I am coming to get into that plant. Now, I wind up losing my job, but that's irrelevant. You used to have multiple generations of men that used to be able to work in the same place and make a decent living.
Please leave your message.
Multiple different people that worked in the same place and you used to be able to make a living. I started making so much money, I said, man, I could take care of everything like this. Me and Rita, we wanted to get married, the whole 9 yards. I made my first 100,000 before I even was old enough to drink. My first 100,000. This was in the early 2000s, man. I had all kind of cars. I had a Chevy Trailblazer SS. I had the Pontiac Grand Prix. I had everything. I had the old school, right? We had the old school. We had all of that. Soon as I got married, hey, you want a new car? You want something? You want something? We was balling. You can't even do that no more. Y'all get out of high school and y'all just be struggling. Oh, man, where can I work at? I don't know what to do. I'm about to go to the car wash and drive cars for a living. Let me get an Uber. You can't even leave high school and get a job no more. I was out of high school, went 1 semester to college, didn't like how much they was trying to charge me in order for me to get a student loan. Man, I'm about to go to work. I'm going to work. You know why you don't have those times now? Because we've sold off America in order to subsidize our lifestyle, thinking that we doing the thing that's in the best interest of our children, and we not. We absolutely ruining everything. And y'all can't see the vision because you so against Trump, and so you so against tariffs, and you so against anything that he does, and you are so against right sides of the government, you so against everything, but you spiting your own self. And you dumb. And you don't know no better because you don't know nothing. You ain't seen nothing. That's why I don't believe that a young person can be a life coach. You don't know nothing. You can't tell me about being a life coach. You don't even know what life was. What, you 23? Talking about you're going to be a life coach? You know what it feel like to work for a living? You know what it feel like to get your hands dirty? You even know how to change a tire? You know how to change it? Do you know which way that you turn to get the lug nuts off? You know how to get the tire off? No, the other way. You tightening it. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Your father ever taught you about righty tighty, lefty loosey? You don't know what righty tighty, lefty loosey mean, huh? They never told you about that? You ever drove a car that had a 4-barrel carburetor in it? Huh? You know about pouring gas inside of the carburetor in order to get it started? You ever flooded a vehicle before because you kept pumping the gas too much in order to start it up? You don't know nothing about this life. You a baby. You a baby. You riding e-bikes. You don't even know. You don't even know that they used to make cars to where they had enough room inside of the engine bay to where you can work on the vehicle and change your own oil. They don't know nothing. How you gonna teach me about anything? We used to have Murray's, O'Reilly's, auto parts stores, the local Ace Hardware and all of that. You used to have to go to the store. Right after that, you would go to the store. You would work on your car on Saturdays and Sundays in order to get it rocking. You would buy the auto parts that you needed for your store. Y'all don't even know how to change a battery no more. I told a young boy the other day, hey man, just go and charge the car and do this and do that. He said, where do I put the red one and where do I put the black one? And which one do I put on for? Boy! I looked at him, the car. Look at these idiots. They know how to rob and kill somebody, but they don't know how to change a battery. Know how to rob and kill somebody, but don't know how to change a battery. We bringing America back to where it used to be, and it's gonna take some time. It's gonna take some adjustments, but don't worry. Where you don't appreciate it, your children and your children's children will appreciate it. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read some of these super chats. These young dudes don't know nothing. I can't believe I'm at the age where I'm saying the young dudes don't know nothing. Never thought I'd get to the age where I say these young bucks don't know nothing. Y'all ain't never had no father in y'all life, and that's why y'all in the space that y'all in. Father never taught you righty tighty, lefty loosey. Never taught you that. Never taught you that. Never taught you how to change a tire. Never forced you to go and buy your own car so you can work on it and learn how cars work and how to be self-sufficient. No, no, I'm going to buy my son a new car so that he never has to suffer. And now he gay. Talking just like Wendy Williams. Sorry, I dusty right now, says Life in Your Eyes. Patrick Hill says, how do I personally talk to you about a business idea? Good morning, by the way. You can send me an email, AntonDaniels413@gmail.com. Maybe I'll start back coaching calls. I think I'm about ready to start back coaching calls. We'll see. E-Rock 2020 says, Detroit is rocking right now. I love it here. Yeah, it's popping, ain't it? It's popping. Keep doing your thing, AD. I appreciate you. Antonio Russell says, Anton liberals wanted borders open, and now Al-Qaeda has 1,000 terrorists in the United States of America. We know. Typo up top finally caught this show live. Shout out to Life in Your Eyes. Modelo says, you'll like San Antonio. They have some pretty Afro-Latinos there. Ooh. Shell Shock says, best time to visit Milwaukee is in the summer, especially with the Summerfest, which is one of the largest music festivals with some great eats. I love MKE. MKE is dope. Now, not a good time for tariffs. When? Yesterday, says Mary Martin. Shout out to Mary Martin. Shout out to everybody that support the platform. I appreciate y'all. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Y'all wanted to talk about tariffs. Uncut Underground wanted to talk about tariffs. He wanted to talk about tariffs. Yep, that's how your son sound. Big C, that's how they son sound. How you doing? Like, man, you like 6'9", look just like Magic Johnson. Are you EJ? Hey, if you a man that's 6'9", 6'10", and you wearing heels still, it's too late for you. It's too late for you. We going over to the next generation. Anyways, again, make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Oh, we don't want her on the screen. Get her off. Give me a second. I got to change that one. All right, there we go. Anyways, let's go over to JD Vance. JD Vance recently did an interview where he talked about the conversation with Zelenskyy and where it went off the rails. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm. If you haven't already, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description as well as pinned to the top of the chat.
Mr. Vice President, thank you for being with us.
Good to see you, man.
Appreciate it.
Great to be here.
Let's go back to the Oval Office.
Reading that super
Friday.
chat shortly.
Yep.
From your perspective.
Yeah, great TV, as the president said. Yeah, well, you know, it's funny. So we have a 45 minute press conference, and the president normally does this. I mean, I've seen this now 3 or 4 times with foreign leaders where he likes to bring the media in, likes to have a conversation, but answer questions with the press. As you know, he's very open with reporters. And what I noticed is that for the first 25, 30 or so minutes, he tried to sort of bend over backwards to be gracious and kind to Zelenskyy. Even when Zelenskyy was kind of needling him, even when Zelenskyy was saying things that I thought were untrue, the president just tried to be diplomatic, right? I think that's his natural instinct in that situation. And then when it really went off the rails, of course, is when I asked, or you had a Polish journalist who asked a question, the president answered it, and then I answered it, and then something about my answer just really set Zelenskyy off. So then he came at me.
So you're blaming yourself.
And then I went back at him, right. And what I tried to do originally was actually try to diffuse the situation a little bit, because I'm like, you know, we're having this meeting. Obviously, there are 100 television cameras here. Let's try to have this conversation in private. And then the president, as we kept on going back and forth, I tried again to say, well, maybe we should have this conversation in private. And the president was like, nope, actually, I don't want to have it in private anymore. I want to have this actual conversation in public for the American people to see. And I do think that there was just a certain sense of, there was a lack of respect. There was a certain sense of entitlement. And most importantly, look, we can look past all of that stuff, but the president has set a very clear goal for his administration. He wants the killing to stop. And I think that it's very important that President Zelenskyy and of course President Putin too, they've both got to come to the negotiating table, and that's ultimately where things broke apart. I really don't care what President Zelenskyy says about me or anybody else, but he showed a clear unwillingness to engage in the peace process that President Trump has said is the policy of the American people and of their president. That's the real breakdown, is I think Zelenskyy wasn't yet there, and I think frankly now still isn't there, but I think he'll get there eventually. He has to.
You can't be still getting there when your people getting killed. That's all I know. You can't still be getting there when your people getting killed. When people are being snatched up off the street and drafted so that they can jump into a war that they don't want to be in, and they're getting massacred on a major level, you can't still be trying to get there. You got to already be there.
Understanding is he tried to get back in, or tried to stay a number of times, and then made numerous calls to come back. Is that true?
I don't know about numerous calls, but they certainly made at least one request to come back in and continue the conversation. The president was like, look, first of all, they were disrespectful. And second of all, what are we even going to talk about? They've shown a clear unwillingness to discuss the peaceful settlement that President Trump is trying to bring to this situation. I think a lot of Americans are sort of, it's useful to step back and ask ourselves, what is the actual plan here? You can't just fund the war forever. The American people won't stand for it. And by the way, Sean, if you look at European opinion polls, the Europeans aren't going to stand forever for it either. We need to bring this thing to a peaceful settlement. The president was trying to do that. He'll continue to try to do that, but you've got to have two to tango. You've got to have a negotiating partner in the Ukrainians who recognize that, of course they have their views, and of course they're not always going to agree with us, but they've got to participate in the conversation. They weren't willing to do that on Friday, so the president said send him home.
He said today that the war he expects will go on a very long time. I don't know where he's going to get the money to fund that war. I have my doubts that Europe will fund the war to the level that Biden and Harris were funding it. And then the issue now has come up whether or not this administration will continue to offer money and arms for this war to continue. Because without America, I would argue the president was right in saying they have no cards.
Yeah. Well, Sean, I think our European friends, frankly, are being really they're doing a disservice to the Ukrainians because their own populations are saying, we're not going to fund this war indefinitely. The American people are saying, we don't want to fund the war indefinitely. So the only thing that is in the best interest of America, of Russia, of Ukraine, and of Europe is to bring this thing to a close. What happened, Sean, is you have Zelenskyy. He goes to Europe, and a lot of our European friends puff him up. They say, you're a freedom fighter. You need to keep fighting forever. Well, fighting forever with what? With whose money, with whose ammunition, and with whose lives? The president is actually taking a much more realistic perspective and saying this can't go on forever. We can't fund this thing forever. The Ukrainians can't fight forever. So let's bring this thing to a peaceful settlement.
When I interviewed
I would like to know, for all of you people that think differently than the president of the United States of America and J.D. Vance, and you want, because how much more could this go on? How many more people, how many more sons do you have that's of age that can go and fight? Because Russia has a much bigger population. It has a bigger landmass. It's not like you ever going to overtake Putin, right? They've also recruited the North Koreans and started paying them for every life and said, listen, why don't y'all come over here and fight for us too? And the soldiers over there in Korea, they coming over and they fighting the Ukrainians also. So short of you putting other people's troops and soldiers at risk to continue to fight a needless war that could have ended a long time ago, short of American soldiers touching ground, which I would absolutely positively be against in every single way. For everybody that's a liberal, for everybody that say they stand with Ukraine, they stand with Zelenskyy, they stand with all of these people, I have a question for you. What would you like to see happen? What would y'all like to see happen? Do y'all want to continue to give them, what, $50 billion a year, $75 billion a year, $100 billion a year? It's been 3 years. On average, we giving them, what, $107 billion a year, something like that, $110 billion a year? What would you like to see happen? Because I see so many of y'all complaining all the time. Y'all be having all of the complaints, all of the issues, and never any solution. You can't find a solution to save your life. What would you like to see happen? Since you don't, because Biden's way, the way that y'all was rocking out before, obviously that didn't work out. We didn't see anything that happened on that front. They was just endless war. Warmongers. Who knows who got richer as a result of Biden continuing to implement this war. So Since Biden and Kamala Harris had literally zero solutions, and Trump's solution is, hey, listen, we don't want to give y'all no more money. We don't want no more lives to continue to fight. We actually want to end this war so that we can get back to peace and have women in our beds and have a good time and be able to have more children and stuff. What would you guys suggest? Do you guys suggest that we go back to the way that Biden and Kamala Harris did things? How much is a life worth? How much is a life worth? So y'all just complaining you don't actually have any solutions. You think it's you think it's diplomatic of Zelenskyy to come in and argue back and forth with somebody that's actually trying to end the war on your behalf that gave you the money.
Zelenskyy, he wouldn't give me direct answers. I asked him about the mineral deal to pay the U.S. back. To me, there's three phases in this. And my understanding was Friday was supposed to be relatively ceremonial.
It was.
And then that it was supposed to be we signed the mineral deal. That's part one. Part two would be a ceasefire. Part three would be...
You know what's so funny? Sanders says, I'm confused. Russia started it. How are we siding with the bully? Okay, how did Russia start it, Sanders? Because very few people actually understand how this started in the first place. How it goes back to before 2014. Crimea, right? Ukraine ultimately becoming their own country. Back in the early 90s, right? You don't even understand how they became their own country and how they divested themselves in the first place. How, for example, if any of those countries ever became insolvent or their leadership decided to defect away, the leadership that was in office or that was in power at the time decided to defect away from whatever their responsibilities are in order for them to be a sovereign nation, and ultimately they were supposed to go back to Russia. So you don't know. All you know is what the media told you that was going on in 2021, right? 2022. Y'all don't know anything about that aspect of it, right?
The hardest part, the negotiated settlement with Putin, who, correct me if I'm wrong, said he's willing to talk peace with Trump.
Yeah, he said he's willing to talk peace, and of course we trust but verify. We want to have the conversation. We don't assume that everything that anybody tells us is true. That's why we want to engage in this conversation.
That's correct,
You're
Chris.
exactly right, Sean. When the Ukrainians came to Washington on Friday, it was supposed to be ceremonial. You know, there had been some public back and forth, some disagreements, some words spoken in public. And the president was like, let's have this moment. We give some credit to the brave Ukrainian fighters. And of course, it's a very brave army that they have there in Ukraine. Let's sign this minerals deal, which importantly does two things. It allows the American people to get some of their money back, but it also shows the Ukrainian people that America has a long-term investment in their sovereignty. You do those things, we'll sign this thing, we'll have a rah-rah moment, and then we'll get to the tough talk of negotiating peace. We couldn't even get the Ukrainians to a point where they could talk about the peaceful settlement. And look, in some ways, Sean, I get it. I get the frustration. I get the rage. It's their country. Of course, it's not our country, but you've got to accept cooler heads have got to prevail. This thing cannot go on forever. This is the important point. I'd say this to are of course, most importantly, the Americans who are watching, but people all over the world. When you talk to leaders in private, whether they're Ukrainian or European, when you talk to people in private, they will tell you this cannot go on forever. There aren't enough Ukrainian lives, there isn't enough American money, and there isn't enough ammunition to fund this thing indefinitely. The only realistic pathway to bringing this thing to a settlement is President Trump's pathway. We encourage both President Zelenskyy and President Putin to follow that path.
Well,
this goes back to when I used to pick Zangief on Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2. Now, I know that's a little bit before your time. Some of y'all was just born in, 1998, 2000, 2001, back when they had big white tees. This goes all the way back when I used to pick Zangief on Street Fighter and Street Fighter 2. When you selected the country, the place where you, the USSR. That's what it used to say on the video game, on Capcom's Street Fighter. When I used to pick it, that was before Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat came after, and all of the fighters on Street Fighter represented their particular countries, and they was sweet. You had Chun-Li, you had Ken, you had Ryu, Zangief, Dalsum, Oh, you know what's up. Okay, so some of y'all know about it. Y'all still play Street Fighter? Yeah. The fact of the matter is, we do need to get them to a peace deal, and it's unfortunate because the United States of America may have to drag them to the table. Meanwhile, Zelenskyy is over there disrespecting the person that they're supposed to be signing a peace treaty with, which is Russia, and they're still calling them names, and they're still disrespecting them, and they're still complaining the whole time. And it's like, you know what? We could let y'all people continue to suffer, but we have to be the peacemakers of the world. Shout out to JD Vance again, being a visible vice president, as somebody said inside of the super chats, being a visible vice president that's best for our country. And we didn't even see, nor did we hear from Kamala Harris while she was in office prior to her campaigning in the United States of America. Shout out to Rush King 19. Rush King 19 says, my father never taught me how to work on cars, but I learned from my uncle, and I've been into cars ever since. Something about building something unique. I think it's awesome. I love cars. Shout out to you with the super sticker. I appreciate you. Corey. Derek Adams says, finally a tariff on wigs and baby hair. That's what we needed on. We'd make a quadrillion dollars. Triple time. I will work every holiday. We tried. I tried. Just a brown girl in America says, joining the bag chasers today. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Shout out to Random Car in the building. I appreciate you for the super sticker. And also Mr. 15150. Thank you, my friend. Cold Cheese says JD Vance is a perfect example of a vice president. We didn't get this from Cam. Real men of America. Appreciate you. And then Mr. 15150 again. I appreciate you. Danielle Smith says War is a Racket by Maj General Smedley Butler. Great book. I'm gonna have to check that out. Anyways, y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's talk about Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is saying that we need to get Ukraine back to the table, but it won't be easy. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's see what Marco Rubio has to say.
Bringing the Secretary of State, Marco.
I respect Marco Rubio a lot. I think that he's very, very intelligent.
Rubio, Mr. Secretary, thank you for joining us this morning. Has there been any contact with President Zelenskyy since Friday?
Well, I haven't had any contact with him since Friday. We have plenty of contacts with him, though. Plenty. I mean, he met in the last 10 days. He's met with the Secretary of Commerce. He spoke to the president on the phone, met with the Secretary of Commerce, met with me, met with the Vice President, met with our special envoy, and then was invited and came over on, well, invited, he wanted to come over on Friday to sign this commercial deal. That didn't happen. So there's been plenty of contact with them. I've talked to the foreign minister several times, not since then. And we'll see moving forward. I think the last line in the president's Truth Social post is the one to focus in on, and that is, we'll be ready to re-engage when they're ready to make peace, which is clearly what the president's goal is here. He's trying to get Russia to the table to see if there's a way to bring about an end to this conflict. That's his goal. That's his only goal. That's his centralized focus. And, hopefully we'll get to a point where that's possible.
The British Prime Minister said this morning that the United Kingdom and France are working on a peace plan with Ukraine to present to the U.S. Do you know where things stand with that plan?
No, I mean, I've talked to both of the foreign ministers of France and the UK yesterday, and I explained to them sort of the events leading up to what you saw on Friday. Look, I think what's really important here is to understand the dynamic. The president is basically saying there's this horrible war. It's been going on for 3 years. It is a bloody stalemate, a meat grinder type war, and he wants it to end. How does it end? It's very simple. The only way it ends is if Vladimir Putin comes to a negotiating table. And right now, President Trump is the only person on earth who has any chance whatsoever of bringing him to a table to see what it is he would be willing to end the war on. Now, maybe their claims or what they want, their demands will be unreasonable. We don't know, but we have to bring him to the table. You're not going to bring him to the table if you're calling him names, if you're being antagonistic. That's just the president's instincts from years and years and years of putting together deals as someone who's in business. And that's the only goal here.
Let me just stop you there for 1 second. Why is it
a war with no end in sight?
Wait, didn't George Stephanopoulos get sued? Didn't he cost ABC a whole bunch of money before? Why is he interrupting, and why is he even a person that's conducting this interview? Why is George Stephanopoulos in the way and interrupting Marco Rubio while he's actually explaining to you, sir, respectfully, that The only person that has a relationship inside of the United States of America that could stop this war, because he has built a relationship over time and has communicated with Putin, is Trump. Now we want to be able to get him back to the table, but we can't get him back to the table with you calling them names and making a problem and creating an issue. Unless Ukraine is ready to actually stop this war, how am I going to even bring this guy to the table to where we're not insulting him? George, hush. Hush.
Is it okay to call President Zelensky a Why is it okay to call President Zelensky a dictator, but not, as you say, call Vladimir Putin names?
Listen, we've spent 3 years calling Vladimir Putin names. That's not the point. The point that we're at now is we're trying to get them.
Did George literally just ask that question? Of all of the intelligent questions that we could have asked, of all of the questions that we could have asked, George, respectfully, we could have asked you got Marco Rubio on ABC to ask him anything that you want. And the thing that you decided to interrupt the conversation with is, wait. Why is it okay not to call Putin names? Come on, man. We got to get these geezers out. Y'all wondering why ABC, MSNBC, CNN is suffering? This is why. Look at this line of questioning.
And to a table, the Russians. And I've said from the very beginning, maybe they don't want a deal either. We don't know, but we haven't talked to them in 3 years. But maybe they do. The point is, do we want to make, I would ask everybody this. If there are no negotiations, what is the alternative? Another 4 years of war, another 3 years of war, in which the United States and Europe continues to pour billions of dollars into a war in Ukraine? Is that the alternative? I've asked every foreign minister I meet with, tell me your idea of how this turns out. Most don't have a plan. A few have said, well, let's give them another year of fighting. A year from now, a year later, after another year of death, another year of destruction, then maybe Putin will be ready to negotiate at that point. That doesn't sound like a good plan to me, and it certainly is not a plan the president's on board with.
It's not just about getting people to the table, it's about keeping agreements that are made. And that was one of the points that President Zelensky was making in the Oval Office on Friday, is that Vladimir Putin has not kept the agreements that were made in the past. Wasn't he right about that?
But what is moving forward is the question, not the past. No one here is claiming Vladimir Putin is going to get the Nobel Peace Prize this year, or that he should be the Man of the Year of the Humanitarian Association. What we're arguing here is he has a very large country. They're in full war footing. They're cranking out weapons now at a war footing pace. And we need to figure out, is there a way to get them to stop the war? And the only way you're going to do that is to get Russians engaged in negotiations, something the Europeans haven't been able to do, the Biden administration wasn't able to do or didn't even try. That's the goal here. It's that simple. Can we try to sit with them and figure out whether there's anything, what are the Russians' demands? Under what conditions would the Russians be willing to stop this war? And as I said, we don't know what those are because we haven't talked to them in 3 years. That's the singular goal here, is to try to bring about an end to this conflict, and it begins by getting them to the table. Ultimately, like any truce, like any peace agreement anywhere in the world, those things will have to be enforced, they'll have to be enduring, there'll have to be safeguards put in place. Everybody understands that. But it begins with the first step, and that is engaging them to see if it's even possible. Because if it's not possible, then what we're looking at is a protracted stalemate with thousands of people dying, billions of dollars pouring in, and more death and destruction. And that's not something the president wants to be a part of. He's made it very clear.
Aren't those talks feasible only if the United States is willing to also provide security guarantees to Ukraine? That was the point the president
We're not providing no more guarantees.
In the Oval Office.
Well, the security guarantees, which I actually like to call deterrence of a few, is all contingent upon there being a peace. Everybody's saying security guarantees to secure the peace. You first have to have a peace. We don't even know if the peace is possible. And this was understood by the Ukrainians. It was explained to them repeatedly. And that is, here's our strategy. We're trying to get Putin to a negotiating table. Let's not rehash. Everyone knows the history here, the back and forth. We understand that. We all understand that. But the question now is, can we get them to a table to negotiate? That's our goal. Don't do anything to disrupt that. And that's what Zelensky did, unfortunately, is he found every opportunity to try to Ukraine-splain on every issue. Then he confronts the vice president. When the vice president says the goal here is diplomacy, he immediately jumps in and challenges the vice president. Well, what kind of diplomacy? So we all understand, okay, that Putin is not going to be an easy negotiator. in this regard. We all get that, but we have to start the process to see if something is even possible. And I honestly am puzzled. I just don't understand. The Biden administration berated Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israelis, put all kinds of conditions and pressure on them to try to get a ceasefire. In this particular case, we've been nice by comparison. And all we're trying to do here is figure out whether a peace is possible. All these other things that people keep bringing up, that'll have to be a part of a negotiation. Right now, there is no negotiation. Shouldn't we at least try to see if there is a way to end this war in a way that's acceptable to both sides and is enduring and sustainable? How is that a bad thing? I really am puzzled why anyone thinks that trying to be a peacemaker is a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when it's Donald Trump trying to do it. When it's President Trump, it's absurd to me.
And Marco Rubio hit the nail on the head, and I'm glad that he's able to clearly communicate. And he's very respected. I respect Marco Rubio. I don't know anybody that doesn't respect Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio is absolutely right. Why is somebody making it difficult for peace? Now, if we was doing this on the other side and we were saying, hey, man, listen, we want to go to war. We want to go to war. We want to go to war. Everybody, oh, wait. But everybody is not advocating for peace. Why are we war hungry? I don't understand. What do you mean you stand with Ukraine? You're supposed to be standing with the United States of America. Nobody should be standing with anybody that's not inside of the United States of America. And what's best for the interests of the world, what's best for Ukraine is what's best for America, which is peace. It does not benefit us to continue to fight a never-ending war for the next 10 years and to see more lives get lost every single day. For what? Because you started it first. Man, let me tell you something. When you're dealing with children, because that's basically what you're dealing with, was dealing with Zelenskyy. When you're dealing with a child, you know what the first thing that they say is, hey, stop fighting. Don't hit him. What are you doing? Get your butt over here. Why would you do that? He hit me first. Now, do you guys actually look at that as a reasonable or decent excuse why they should still be able to keep fighting and cracking each other's heads? No. Man, you go sit down over there. You get your life together. Bro, what you doing, man? Get over there. Why? And then you start to deal with the consequences. Then you get back down to the little. But if you don't have a ceasefire, you don't negotiate peace between two children that ultimately still have to hang out with each other. They're going to grow up with each other. They're still going to be next to each other every single day. They're going to be tied to each other through birth. You don't let them keep fighting while negotiating the peace aspect of it. You get a ceasefire. You stop the fighting. And then once you stop the fighting, you go and you talk to them and you say, hey, listen, what happened? He took my toy. And you actually get on both of them. Wait a minute. Why you putting your hands on other people's stuff? Didn't I tell you not to put your hands on other people's stuff? Where my belt at? You give him a whooping. So you don't know how to control yourself. And then you, once he goes out the room, you deal with the other one. Oh, okay. So, bro, why you tripping? So you decided that you wanted to jump off the bridge. Now look at you. You got to go to school with a black eye because he beat the brakes off of you because you couldn't think for yourself. You couldn't think. You got to learn how to think through it. Was the toy that important? And why you ain't sharing anyway? You got 30 toys over there. You know he came over here from his stepmama. You know you step baby daddy. You know he ain't got nothing. You got everything over there. So you can't share your toys all of a sudden? You got every toy. I bought you all of these toys and you don't know how to share. You know he ain't got nothing. He's sleeping on a brown paper bag in a cardboard box because his mother decided that she wanted to leave her family and now she over here. And so she brought her little nephew over here and now y'all getting into a fight. You know he can fight good. The reason that he can fight good is because his mama got him homeless all the time. Right? We gotta be nice. Share your toys, bro. Give him a toy. You don't even like that toy. You said that you was about to take that to Goodwill and you was about to throw it away. Now you don't want to share your toy. See, when you have a ceasefire, is what I'm trying to explain to you guys. And this is why I like to break it down from a C student's perspective, because a lot of times that we think about this too far out. Let's break it down in a way that we can all consume it. When you have children and they are fighting, right? And before you get to solve for the problem, you have to stop the fighting. That is what a ceasefire is. Then you can negotiate the terms of peace. You can't negotiate it while they're over there slapping each other in the head with toys. It's a very simple concept. Very simple concept. You said you're a stepbrother, so you already know that if you a stepbrother, then ATL flippers, if you a stepbrother, then you know that it was very difficult to get your brother's father to buy both of y'all toys because mama always wanted y'all to have equal, but you're not his son. And his father may have been a little bit richer than your father, or your father only came over when he got out of jail, right? Not saying that this is your situation, but this could possibly be a situation, right? And so mama always said, nah, if you're going to bring money over here, if you're going to bring something over here, then bring something for both of the kids. Don't bring, and he was like, that ain't my son. That ain't my son. I don't want to bring something for him too. I only want to bring something for my son. And then you got mad because he got a PS3 or PS2 at the time. And now you want to fight. And now somebody got to break it up because mama keep on demanding unreasonable things and having children with more than one man. That's why we got to keep the family together. That's why we got to keep the family together. You know, we got to keep the family together. Hopefully y'all understand that analogy so you can better understand why we need to have peace and why Zelenskyy need to get on board. Because we not sharing our toys no more. No more. Anyways, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and we got a unique way of communicating what goes on in the news over here. And if you are not a part of the Patreon, you're missing out. Casual Germ says, Soviets don't believe in deodorant. Ooh. The women either? Wait, the women either? They wear the same clothes. They abuse cheap vodka. And the women abuse Chanel No. 7. Everyone gets half a potato. I'm dub on NATO. Not the women. Do the women use deodorant? Be Easy 333 says Mayor Brandon Johnson will make great TV tomorrow. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's already scheduled. I respect JD Vance. We do too. Shout out to Dolores. I appreciate you. Mafe says Anton, check out Sky News report on Ukraine defectors. Super sad. More reason to get out. I know. I've seen it already. Civ Lap says Kamala knew her place in the administration. She would not have jumped on Zelenskyy like that. Lil Firestarter Vance did. Vance is already thinking 2028. Interesting. Dewan Elliott podcast says, as soon as Zelenskyy can get out of his emotions, this war will end. Nothing worse than an emotional man. Facts. Devin Braxton says, AD, I've learned that the stupid questions have to be asked because the room 9 people on the other side are simple-minded and it has to be spelled out. Chef 673, my favorite. Why is none of these Democrats leaning news outlets are not talking about the many near argument or many near agreements in the past that President Zelenskyy walked away from, like the one in 2014 lying saying that it was Putin? Civ Lap goes on to say Marco Rubio hit the head on a nail. He is still testy about Cuba. Clean up your own backyard, Marco. Interesting. Civ, you all right over there? Cochise says Zelenskyy hit me first. Trump, go sit down. Trump said, go sit down. Devastator says, I'm good. I ain't sharing my toys. All right. Well, he going to come in and break all your toys. How about that? Again, make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's move over to Bernie Sanders because, I like to pick a raging liberal. That's my term, a raging liberal, to get their take on what's going on inside of these situations. And Bernie Sanders says Zelenskyy should reject calls to resign in order to create peace. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications.
Welcome back. And joining me now is Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont. Senator Sanders.
When did Bernie Sanders become independent? I thought he was a real liberal Democrat.
Welcome back to Meet the Press.
Great to be with you.
It's wonderful to have you back, Senator.
I love Meet the Press. I love it.
Let me start with Ukraine and that Oval Office meeting. The reaction continues to pour in, and you just heard me speak with House Speaker Mike Johnson. He left the door open to the possibility that it may be necessary for President Zelenskyy to resign in order to get to a broader peace agreement. Let me ask you this question. Do you think that President Zelenskyy needs to resign in order for there to be a peace deal?
I don't think that President Zelenskyy should have to resign.
I think that is a horrific suggestion.
I think that that is a horrific. I think that that is a horrific suggestion. I'm gonna get my Bernie Sanders fixed. I'm gonna get all the way Bernie Sanders. I'm gonna practice that on the weekend, and by the time Monday come, we're gonna have our Bernie Sanders. Our Bernie Sanders. I think that is a horrific. I'll get it right. We're going to work on it. Let's get to what Bernie Sanders has to say, y'all.
Zelenskyy is leading a country trying to defend democracy against an authoritarian dictator, Putin, who invaded his country. And I think millions of Americans are embarrassed.
Put more old man in my voice.
You have a president of the United States who says that Ukraine started the war, that Zelenskyy is a dictator. He's got it exactly backwards. The people of Ukraine have lost tens of thousands of soldiers. Their cities are being bombed as we speak.
I'm going to practice on that.
And our job is to defend the 250-year tradition that we have.
No, our job is not to defend a 250-year tradition as people are getting bombed out of their homes. Our job is to figure out how to reach a peace agreement so that everything could be straight. Bernie said our job is to defend. No, our job is to find peace. This ain't got nothing to do with America. This is not our business.
Being the democratic leader of the world, not turn our backs on a struggling country that is trying to do the right thing.
And we will continue to follow that, of course, Senator. We have a lot to get to, so I'm going to talk about budget cuts and switch topics here so we can get to that as well. You heard Speaker Johnson argue that there's massive amounts of waste, fraud, and abuse in entitlement programs like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. In fact, the Government Accountability Office does say that both Medicare and Medicaid made more than $100 billion in payment errors in 2023. Let me ask you, Senator, Democrats were in charge for 4 years. Should the Democratic Party have done more to address some of those issues with the insolvency of our entitlement programs?
And Trump was in power 4 years before that.
Oh, no. Why do they continue to deflect and not take responsibility for what they did? What did I say about Bernie Sanders? What did I say about Bernie Sanders the other day? When him and Jasmine Crockett, and I did a whole review video on them. I said that Bernie Sanders should be held accountable for the purse strings. Congress controls the purse strings for every single thing that's funded inside of the United States of America. That is their job. That is one of their only jobs. One of the only jobs that Congress had. The reason that they make between $177,000 and $300,000 a year, depending on your tenure, I'm assuming, or whatever. The reason that they make all of the money is because they are the ones that control the money. Unless there is an emergency, a declaration of an emergency inside of the United States of America, an act of war, a terrorist attack, a federal emergency, something like that, which everything seems to be an emergency nowadays. That is their job. Their main job is to balance the budget and control where the money is going. Why haven't people like Bernie Sanders, who has been in office since Moses, why haven't they at some point asked for an audit of our government agencies that we're funding? Why does it take a person that has to come in from outside as a business person to come in and say, you know what? We need to go and audit and find out where all of the money going. Not their only job, but their main job. Their main job is to control where we put in our dollars as American taxpayers. And they have failed miserably the entirety of the time that they've been in office.
Look, if there is waste and fraud in the Defense Department, which is the largest single budget item that we fund, which has not been able to fulfill an independent audit in the last 7 times, where there's massive waste and fraud, we should go after waste, fraud, and abuse in every agency of government. There's no argument about that. But let us be very clear. What Republicans are trying to do right now is to make massive cuts in Medicaid, over $800 billion, cuts in nutrition programs.
No, dog. No. And see, this is, I wish I could do some of these interviews sometimes. I wish I could. I don't like doing interviews that much, honestly. I don't like doing, I like asking questions. I like being the interviewee. I don't like the process afterwards as far as editing and getting it done. Like, I just like asking the questions and then keeping it moving. I don't like all of the post-production stuff that has to come with interviews. But I would do this one because you know what Bernie Sanders did? He never answered the question. He never answered the question. He never answered why there's hundreds of billions of dollars in errors and payments in these government programs that you have been responsible for. And if you've known that they've actually been failing these audits for all of this time, why haven't you done anything about it? No, but it wasn't until Trump got in office that now they feel some type of way and they believe that they need to do something different.
Which feed hungry children. Why are they doing that? Because they want to be able to use those savings to provide over $1 trillion in tax breaks for the richest 1%.
Well,
for
the richest
Elon
1%, because we got
and
a
the
tax for
Zuckerbergs
rich
and the Bezoses of the world. In my view, you don't take food away from children, health care away from struggling people to give tax breaks to billionaires. Do we go after waste and fraud in every agency of government? Yes, we do.
Well, let me ask you about Social Security. And you raised Elon Musk, Senator, so let me follow up with you on this very point. Because he's made some very pointed comments about Social Security. I referenced it earlier in the broadcast. This was to Joe Rogan. I'd like you to hear it and get your reaction on the other side. Take a look.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time. Basically, people are living way longer than expected. And there are fewer babies being born. So you have more people who are retired and get
less people to pull into the
live
system.
for a long time and get retirement payments. So the future obligation. So however bad the financial situation is right now for the federal government, it will be much worse in the future.
Yep.
Senator, President Trump says he's not going to touch Social Security. Elon Musk calls it a Ponzi scheme. Do you agree?
It is.
Now, I think what Musk, the wealthiest guy in the world, just said is totally outrageous. That's a hell of a Ponzi scheme when for the last 80 years, Social Security has paid out every nickel owed to every eligible American.
I don't think that listen, we got to get these guys out of here. I don't even think he knows what a Ponzi scheme is. I don't even think he knows what a Ponzi scheme is. He doesn't know what a Ponzi scheme is. Did you hear his response to why that's outrageous?
That's a hell of a Ponzi scheme.
They hate Trump and Elon Musk so much to where they can't even objectively say, you know what, that is true. Because this isn't even something that we could debate. This is a fact. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. That's exactly what a Ponzi scheme is. You're not solvent enough from the people that originally contributed into it. And so in order for it to remain solvent, you need me to work my butt off so that my money can go into Social Security with the hope that eventually there'll be some left for me that's based off of the fact that somebody that came after me can then fund the Social Security. We're paying Social Security for the people that are currently on Social Security. That's a Ponzi scheme. So you find more people to pay into the system so that the system remains solvent. It doesn't have an endowment because we don't manage money effectively in the federal government. If it had an endowment or a savings, right? If there was a certain amount of money that was put up and said, you know what, this money is going to continue to make interest, we're going to run up a bag on it, and that'll allow for it to remain solvent, and it's going to be more fruitful and have more money in it because it's going to make money on top of money because we're operating at a surplus, and the people that paid into it, here was your money, we set it to the side, it's making interest, and it should outlive you. Your money is going to outlive you. That is what a solvent system is supposed to be. When you have to get more people to contribute into a system so that you can pay out the people that are already getting payments, that's called a Ponzi scheme. Objectively. It's not a Republican thing. It's not a Democrat thing. It's a when you retire, for all of us that's sitting here watching this show right now, when you retire, we're going to have Gen Z and whatever the new name for the new generation is, they're going to be paying for us when we start drawing from Social Security because the people that we paid for took all of our money and we didn't want to do an audit to make sure that we was getting money out there to the people that's supposed to have it. That's literally a Ponzi scheme. How is that outrageous?
For the last 80 years, Social Security has paid out every nickel owed to every eligible American. Quite a Ponzi scheme. What is in fact a problem is that if we don't make reforms and improve the funding mechanism, in the next 9 years, the Social Security Trust Fund, which provides about 20% of the funding, will go broke. So what we have got to do, and I think most Americans agree,
get
and
these
I just
guys out of
introduced
office.
legislation to
get them
do
out
that,
of office, bro.
Is you lift the cap on taxable income. Right now, Musk, worth $400 billion, contributes the same amount into the Social Security Trust Fund as somebody making $170 million.
But guess what? He'll never draw from it. Elon Musk in 2021 alone paid $11 billion into our tax system. There's no way in hell he will ever be able to draw the amount of money that he needs, and he probably won't ever even take it. He'll never be able to draw anything close to the resources that he's contributed into the system. And you know what his solution is? To tax him more, because we have mismanaged it. Man, I'm telling you, bro, these people need term limits, man.
If you lift that cap, we can extend the solvency of Social Security for 75 years, and you can raise benefits. Kristen, right now in America, half of elderly people are trying to get by on $30,000 a year, 22% on $15,000 a year. We've got to raise Social Security benefits. We've got to expand Medicare to include hearing, dental, and vision, not go after these programs which are so important to millions of our seniors.
I want to talk about what
if y'all are still on the Democratic plantation, put a 1 in the chat. If you are a Democrat, if you are a liberal, and don't be scared, I just want to know who my audience is. I know a lot of y'all not going to do it. I know a lot of y'all can't do it because you may be watching me from the TV or whatever. But if you are a part of the liberal plantation, a Democrat plantation, and you believe that this makes sense, put a 1 in the chat. This is horrible. This is insane. This is terrible to be listening to Bernie Sanders talk like this. This is I want to say the R word, but I can't say the R word because we're on the Millionaire Morning Show. This is the R word, the RETA. I'm going to just leave it there. Zzz. You a 1? I see a 1. I see a couple 1s. I only see a couple 1s, few 1s. I never said it. I never even spelled it out already. It is. It's R. It's R. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Bernie Sanders, ladies and gentlemen. Feel the burn. Feel the burn. Let me read some of these super chats, and then I want to get over to the last part of the show. Let's see what we got here. You should clip that to an analogy. Don't worry, I got you. I'll take care of it. I'll do it. I'll do it. Poogie's friend Ray Ray says, I got kicked out of a community group a few years ago for trying to holler at Bernie Sanders' wife when she came to visit on his campaign. Why would you try to holler at Bernie Sanders' wife? Jesus. Ryder Guy says they get money from the lobbyists to look the other way. That's why there's no audit. Chef 673 says, what the heck? 250-year tradition of being Democratic leader of the world. Wait, what? How? When in 1775, America was not even a country fully yet. 2025, 250, 1775. Is my math off? Is he going to see now? I don't even remember what he said, to be honest with you. Shireen Advance Your Life says, you need a Boston NYC accent for Bernie. I'll take $250K one-time payment. I got to master it first. She kind of cute out there. Hold on. All right, they must got a new employee. Black women is architects now. Interesting. All right, sometimes you gotta see what's going on in these streets. So you just nigga rig your mic with 4 rubber bands. This is not nigga rigged. First of all, my microphone is fine. I'm just playing around with my rubber bands. Do you know why I have rubber bands, sir? Do you know why it's important for me to have rubber bands? It's not nigga rigged, by the way. To rig something is to assume that it's not properly set up and taken care of. Everything is working fine with my microphone. There is nothing wrong with the microphone. All right. However, the reason that I wear rubber bands is simple as this. I always like to keep rubber bands, at least 1 or 2, on my wrist, on my right wrist at all times. And the reason that is because it always keeps me grounded and it reminds me of where I came from. So I keep a Rolex on one arm and the rubber bands on the other arm, and it reminds me of where I came from. That's why I wear rubber bands. That's why I have it. All right, Abe the Hunter. Okay, Pumpkin. Night J says, as a child who was on welfare, these people get on my nerves. What about the children? What about creating programs for these kids, not handouts? J-Dub says, this guy has been a senator since the day of Moses. He hasn't done a D thing to better anyone's life but his. I'll never vote Democrat again. Notice how she never gives any pushback. Yeah, she did to Trump, though. She did to Trump. Jason Statham says, if our Social Security money was put in an S&P, we'd all be nice come retirement time, but it's not because it's a effing Ponzi. Supposedly drained by 2035. Boosted 5.0 says, streaming the speech tonight on After Hours supposedly is going to be posturing and showing SAA from that side. I don't know. Because the speech is supposed to start at like 9 o'clock. I got a meeting that I got to go to at 7 p.m. tonight for a property in order to be able to expand it bigger and to go outside or whatever it is, restrictions of that city. So we'll see what happens. I'm probably still going to do After Hours at the same time. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Did you pay the question mark? Hood Ninjas. Autocorrect is diabolical. All right, y'all, let's go into this last part of the show. Have y'all hit a like for the algorithm yet? And have y'all subscribed to the channel? You need to do that. That's not even what I wanted to play right now. Let me change that. Give me a second. I'm sorry. How did I miss that? There we go. That was from yesterday. This one is from today. All right. 4 people are being charged with smuggling over 20,000 migrants from Guatemala. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let's get to it.
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. Gorgeous Live Now picture there over at Los Angeles, Central District of California. An illegal immigrant from Guatemala has now been arrested on a 4-count indictment, alleging he led one of the largest human smuggling organizations in the United States, a ring that smuggled approximately 20,000 illegal immigrants from Guatemala to destinations nationwide over a 5-year span. Fox News correspondent Alicia Acuna on this story.
Organization caused deaths.
Federal authorities in Los Angeles announced the takedown of a Guatemalan criminal organization responsible for one of the largest human smuggling operations in the United States. On Friday, agents
Did they arrest former president of the United States and vice president of the United States too?
arrested Eduardo Domingo Renoch Matul and Cristobal Mejia Chay, both illegal immigrants from Guatemala, for allegedly moving more than 20,000 migrants into the U.S. since 2019. The Border Patrol says agents noticed illegal Guatemalan immigrants being transported with large amounts of cash.
This was more than just a regional smuggling organization. This was a complex, coast-to-coast smuggling organization.
Authorities say the group charged migrants up to $18,000 to get from Guatemala to the Arizona border.
All right, so let's stay on let's go mid. Let's go 17.5. Well, let's just go 16. 16.5. 16.5 times 20,000. That's probably on the low. That's $330 million. $330 million minimum that they made in this smuggling operation. And you telling me that nobody, none of our politicians, none of the people that was in office, no legislators, no people that's behind the scenes, no contributors over to the Kamala Harris Biden campaign, none of them, 0 people were in on it. And this is just on one side. This is just for this particular group of people in the Guatemalans, over 20,000 Guatemalans that came over here in the United States of America. Now imagine this in the millions. Imagine it in the millions, because millions of people crossed over into this border. Remember when we kept asking, hey man, what's going on? Why are they allowing for this to happen? Why are they leaving the borders open? What's going on? Man, listen, you can't convince me. You're never going to convince me or sell me on the fact that our administration was not so crooked that everybody got rich from these migrants coming in and taking over y'all towns. And they're going to pin it on too little on what is pasta and Taticaboco. They're going to pin it on them. They're going to pin it on little Mijo and Kashwaki. And everybody got a bag.
The smugglers would then hold the migrants in stash houses in Phoenix and Los Angeles before relocating them around the country, often keeping migrants hostage for months in this LA neighborhood if they didn't pay the transport fees. Also charged, Jose Paxtor Oxley, who was already behind bars for killing 7 immigrants, including 3 children, in a 2023 car crash in Oklahoma that happened during a transport.
He had, what, an F-250, a F-350?
New York to Los Angeles. Another suspect, Elmer Obispo Hernandez, is on the run after authorities say he threatened to kill a federal agent.
While search warrants were being executed in Los Angeles on Friday, he telephoned a member of the investigative team and threatened to kill that agent and his family members by cutting off their heads.
The 3 suspects in custody are being held without bond and face the death penalty if convicted. In Denver, Alicia Acuna, Fox News.
Alicia, thanks so much. In the meantime here, we want to listen to a little bit more of this press conference.
And partners in federal law enforcement, from Homeland Security Investigations and the United States Border Patrol, Deputy Special Agent Charge Dwayne Engelbrecht, and Greg Bugino, Chief of the El Centro sector of the Border.
Now I see why they tried to assassinate Trump twice. And they tried to pin it on some manifestation. It's just easy to pin it on. Oh, he was crazy. He was a crazy person. He was deranged. Somehow he was able to get all of this ammunition, get past Secret Service. If you've ever been to a Trump rally before, man, they got snipers everywhere in hidden houses, 100, 200 miles into the sky. You probably can't see. Man, I seen drones. It was literally permanent drones that was just in the sky, and you can hear it. Drones everywhere, Secret Service everywhere, security guards, police officers. Let me tell you, bro, you can't get close. And I know that this is something that they don't want to talk about. You can't get close. When you even come into the organization, they checking every pocket, every leg. You got to go put your ID through the ID that checks the ID to make sure that the ID is IDing. You hats off, all of that. All of that. If you've ever been to a rally, the reason that it takes so much time to get in is because they check in everybody. They check in everybody. That is why, in my opinion, I believe in my heart that they wanted this man up out of there, because he's cutting off the spigot. Dog, he cutting off billions, if not trillions of dollars that is illegally happening and flowing all across the United States of America and any and everybody's pockets. Everybody was getting filthy rich off of this. Everybody was getting filthy rich off of this. Man, get out of here, bro.
Patrol. I'm here to announce an indictment charging 4 defendants with operating one of the largest human smuggling rings in the nation. The indictment alleges a transnational criminal organization smuggled approximately 20,000 illegal immigrants from Guatemala to the United States via Mexico, and then transported these aliens to cities throughout the United States. The offenses alleged in the indictment show a criminal group that acted with callous disregard for our nation's immigration laws and no regard for the immigrants that they smuggled. They held individuals smuggled hostage for months, threatened them and their family members with violence, and others, including children, were killed in a horrific car crash in Oklahoma in 2023.
Who's the mastermind? Because you're not just going to tell me that this just these 4 people that was controlling everything, bro.
The indictment charges 4 defendants, all of whom are illegal aliens from Guatemala who committed crimes while living in the United States. Each defendant faces up to life imprisonment and the possibility of the death penalty. Their crimes include conspiring to transport and harbor illegal aliens for private financial gain, which, as I mentioned, at least in one instance, resulted in death. The ringleader, Eduardo Domingo Renojo Mattel, was arrested and arraigned on Friday, along with his right-hand man, Mahia Cha. Both defendants have pleaded not guilty, and a trial date is being set. Another defendant, Helmer Obispo Hernandez, is a fugitive. He's pictured here. In addition to the charges in the indictment, he's also charged in a federal criminal complaint with threatening to kill a federal law enforcement officer. While search warrants were being executed in Los Angeles on Friday, he telephoned a member of the investigative team and threatened to kill that agent and his family members by cutting off their heads.
Interesting.
Those actions demonstrate just how violent this organization is. A 4th defendant is in custody in Oklahoma in connection with the fatal car accident in 2023. The transnational criminal organization operated for at least a dozen years and specialized in smuggling illegal immigrants from Guatemala to the United States. The movement of those illegal immigrants within the United States, especially between Phoenix and Los Angeles, and the harboring of those illegal aliens in the United States. According to the indictment, associates of the organization in Guatemala solicited thousands of illegal immigrants to come to the United States. Those associates then accepted payment between $15,000 and $18,000 for each smuggled alien.
Half of y'all can't even come up with $500 to $1,000 in an emergency, and they were sitting there walking around with 15 to 18 bands talking about, I want to invest and get into America, and now they got to get deported. That's the reason why they so mad, is because they spent a bunch of money to get over here so that they can get all of these free benefits on behalf of the taxpayers, and they don't feel like they got their money's worth because the coyotes and the people that were running and smuggling them into the United States of America took their payment, and they don't feel like they got their money's worth. They don't feel like they got their money's worth. That's why they mad, because they got to go back home. They got to go back to their family. They got to go back to Guatemala. I'm going to go visit Guatemala. Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm going to go ahead and visit Milwaukee instead. Go visit San Antonio. Anyways, yeah, man, this is a racket. I do believe that it's a racket. I believe that there's a lot of people that benefited from it, but you'll never know their name because maybe they got pardoned ahead of time. I don't know. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Let me read a couple of more super chats, and then I'll get y'all out of here for the day. Till tomorrow. Maybe I'll be in a different location. You never know. Chef673 says, I bet Mr. Sanders will not talk about all of those Ukraine refugees who came to America during the beginning of the war who qualified for SSI. J-Dub says, did you see BlackRock purchase 2 significant parts of the Panama Canal due to the pressure from Donald Trump and rising Chinese influence in the area? I did not see that. Send it to me. And Robert Rose says, I had to search this rapper on YouTube to see what he is into, and you will find, shouldn't shock anyone, search G Money Ronnie Wops. I don't want to mess up my algorithm. But again, make sure you guys hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. Yeah, man, it's been a great show. It's been another great show. Make sure y'all tune in to After Hours tonight. Looking forward to us having a good conversation. I love you guys. I appreciate you. Let me check one more thing before I get out of here. Got to make sure that we all on the same page and got to acknowledge my people. Maria says, black on black crime. Oh, yeah, you said that one. Shout out to Mike That Dude, Maria Spencer Campbell, and everybody that hold us down. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to see y'all tonight on After Hours. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tap into the Patreon if you're looking to rock out with a group of people that's going in the direction that you're going in. And Tiege Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Well, I'm out.